What's going on, everybody? We are back. We are back to click a little break, and we're back. We are here to discuss tonight's episode 2, House of the Dragon. Oh boy, we have a lot to discuss tonight, and I am so excited to be here with you all. Shout out to everyone that joined the live stream that we had about 10 to 15 minutes ago. We did a live watch along, watch the episode. You can check out my live reaction if you all missed that or watched the replay, of course. But it was a fun watch along, as we always do on this channel. But man, Rhaenyra, that's my queen right there. That is a leader if I've ever seen one, y'all. We got so much to discuss, so many interesting. I believe the title was A Rogue of a Prince, and there were so many rogue moments by many characters in this episode. Rhaenyra being one, Daemon, Corlys, and Alicent. Yeah, we got a new queen to talk about here tonight, potentially. Listen, y'all, this was a great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you all to break it all down. And I have a guest that might be joining us here in a bit, and I'm going to be leaving this is a live call in. So we experimented with last week. We had Johnny and Larry and Skylar, as well as and that was our guest that we had last week, and hopefully we can get them back on, have some newcomers, because I will be sharing the link to the stream in probably a little bit later. But listen, y'all, we got a lot to discuss. Again, before we get into it, shout out to everyone that's watching live. I know there's a couple other YouTube channels that are going live as well. Definitely show them love and support, thumbs up their videos and whatnot. But if you're here on this channel, I thank you. I really do appreciate you. Again, thumbs up, share it. We're live, y'all. So I want to know your thoughts. Again, I will be sharing the link a little bit later. So if you all have a camera, a microphone, and if you all want to share your 2 cents in tonight's episode, I will be sharing that link to hear you all's thoughts on the episode. Of course, thoughts, theories, predictions, what worked, what didn't work, favorite moment, favorite character so far. We're going to have a full discussion like we did last week, and I'm so excited to be back with you all. So again, thumbs up, share, comment, and if you're watching this for the first time, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and joining this awesome community. What's going on, Meg? Again, Meg, matter of fact, let me go ahead and just get this out of the way. Let me share the link now. I'm going to give you all my brief thoughts, and then we'll obviously break it all down. But I'm going to put the link in the stream as we speak. And then if you guys, again, I'm welcoming anyone and everyone that's respectful, that wants to talk about this show, obviously, and has, again, if you want to show your face, just make sure you have a camera and a light set up there. You know, it doesn't have to be the best of the best, but definitely make sure we can see you and we can hear you good. Or if you don't want to show your face and you just want us to hear your lovely voice, you can enter into the stream that way as well. So I am going to put the stream link in the stream now. Let me actually share that. Let me copy the link and invite you all to join us on this discussion. So let me go here, put that in there. All right, guys. So again, what I'm doing right now is the link to the stream, and you all can join us a little bit later or now if you want to discuss tonight's episode. But I think I got my first guest I just heard the pop. I just heard it come in. So excited to have this person on. I'm going to introduce them here in a bit. But before we do, make sure to follow this person, subscribe. They just opened up some other social media accounts on Instagram and TikTok, which she'll probably let you guys know about. But so excited to have this person on. I'm talking about the one and only Elle from Watch With Me. Elle, what is going on?
Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Elle, because I just saw a pretty fire episode of House of Dragons.
The episode was fire. I'm excited for where it's going. It's gonna be good.
Listen, Elle, this is so dope because again, we kind of crossed paths last week on your stream and exchanged information, and now here you are blessing us with your presence. So listen, Elle, do the world a favor. Let them know who you are, where they can find your content, what you're all about. The stage is yours.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am Elle Bee. Hi, y'all. I am a new YouTuber. Actually, I'm going to be making my 1-year anniversary on YouTube, September something or other. Movie recaps, rants, reviews. I have a pretty unfiltered take on most things that I watch. And I really enjoy making content. I recently have TikTok and IG. You can follow me at Watch With Me Elle Bee on both. My YouTube channel is, of course, Watch With Me Elle Bee. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like my videos. Check some of my content out that I have posted before. But I'm really excited to be here with y'all tonight to talk about this fire episode of House of the Dragon, y'all. Thank you for sharing your platform with me.
Of course. And by the time this video is uploaded, I'll go ahead and put all your information in the description of the video so they can know where to subscribe, where to follow you, and all that good stuff, Elle. So listen, again, we briefly got a chance to interact on your stream last week, and now here we are discussing it. So Elle, just kind of catch myself up in the audience. Tell us a little bit about your Game of Thrones journey. Were you a day one A1 watching it back in 2011? Did you kind of stumble upon it? You heard all the people talking about it, and you caught up to it, and how you felt about how things ended. So again, the beginning of your journey to how things ended with season 8, and then we'll get into tonight's episode.
So I started watching Game of Thrones because I'm an OG Sunday night HBO person, like Sopranos, all the like back in the day,
premium TV,
like prime time, HBO Sunday night. Don't call me. I'm not going out with you. Sunday night is my night to stay in with my snacks with HBO. So I'm not a big fantasy person. That's not really my favorite genre, but I saw a recap somewhere on YouTube with somebody giving all the background information on the houses, and it just sounded so messy. It just sounded so, entertaining. And I watched it, and from episode 1, I was hooked, right? Because what do we say to death when it knocks on the door? Whatever Arya was saying with her coach, like whatever that scene was, that's what hooked me to Game of Thrones. And I remember watching it and having such a it wasn't visceral, but I was very involved with the show.
Taken back,
Go up there. Your wife told you not to go, Ned Stark. You better stay and listen to your wife.
R.P. Ned.
Listen, right? So, that's kind of where it started for me. But then once I started, I got hooked. I got shirts. I would wear my Lucky Game of Thrones shirt on Sunday. I had like sweatpants and socks, and I went to time, right? Yeah. And I never read the books. But I'm also not gonna spend any time talking about the last the last season because we don't have.
Yeah, we what was the last season? I didn't know they had last season.
Nah, no, they just decided to cancel it, and I don't know what happened.
Well, hey, similar journey to yours. I was kind of on the journey pretty early. Well, actually, I caught up. I think I caught up on season 3. I binged it, heard everyone talking about it at work, and I'm a big fantasy guy, so that was definitely in my genre. But dragons and White Walkers and the dialogue and acting was fantastic. So that brings me to now that we know your journey, what did you think about episode 1, and then obviously just kind of general take on this second episode before we really break it down?
So I thought episode 1 was really great. I thought it was a great entry because they have some big shoes to fill, right? Like like how, I'm sure they knew what they were up against. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. And I know that they know that we as a fandom are like missing that piece of entertainment right now. And so they're wanting to fill that. And I know George R.R. Martin is involved in this one. And so I was looking to see what they were going to do that was different. And I thought they did a great job. I thought it really harkened back to GOT, but it really gave us something new and fresh. And I like the characters. I think Rhaenyra is a boss, and I'm ready to see her do her thing because she's so straight faced all the time. And it's like when we first see her, she's a child. Technically she was 9, I guess, in the story. But she's a boss, and I think it's gonna be so good, and the casting was fantastic, and the scenes are great, and I'm just really excited to see what they do with everything. But episode 1 was a great entry, and I thought episode 2, like they coming in hot, they coming with the heat. Like I haven't had a complaint as of now, and I was pretty interactive with the TV tonight, just like I was with episode 1 and just like I was with Game of Thrones. So that's a good sign for me.
Definitely a good sign. Yeah, we're going to definitely talk about Rhaenyra coming into her own and showing her daddy what it takes to be a leader and making those tough decisions that he seems to be a little hesitant to do when it comes to those decisions. But before we break it all down, Elle and everyone in the chat, we got a returning guest who came on last week with our call in. He is someone that loves the show just like we do and has a lot to say about it. I'm so excited to have him back on the channel. Talking about my man Johnny. What's going on, man?
Hey, so good to be back.
Yes, sir.
My Game of Thrones journey was a little different from your journey. Was that I was kind of a little resistant to the show at first. I'm like, oh, this is really popular. It was so mainstream popular that I was kind of like one of those geeks. It was like, okay, this is too mainstream popular for me. And then when I started watching it, I got hooked instantly. And I think I might have mentioned this last week, is that when it was during Comic-Con, when it was going to be this new season was coming up pretty soon after Comic-Con. I binged it so much that I was watching it on my phone on the bus to Comic-Con. I was watching every single episode, everything that I could get. Got myself a snow globe with the with the Mother of Dragons, all kinds of stuff. Wow, this episode ratcheted everything up.
Yeah, definitely so. And
something else.
Definitely so. Johnny, by the way, this is Elle. This is Johnny. Johnny joined us last week, and he was a part of the conversation when Severance was on. And so excited to have him on. But before we continue this conversation, Reinhardt with the super chat. Want to give you a quick shout out. Reinhardt 68. I love how the characters are so multi-layered. Last week, you think Damien's a complete a-hole. This week, it's Hightower is a a-hole. Yeah, that's Game of Thrones, right, Elle and Johnny? There's no one that is truly evil. There's no one that's truly all good. They're all kind of gray characters, and that's what makes them so, as Reinhardt said, so kind of multi-layered. But speaking of multi-layered, there was so many moments in this episode. This episode was titled A Rogue Prince, and there was a lot of characters in tonight's episode that made a lot of decisions against orders. Rhaenyra, an alliance that shaped up between Corlys and Daemon. So a lot of that going on. Starting with you, Elle, we kind of get the sense of, again, this relationship between the king and Alicent. She's coming to his chambers, having these conversations. Nothing too explicit, just kind of a listening ear. But of course, we know her turn of motives, or her dad wants her to be the next queen. How do you feel about Alicent, and is it all a part of a ploy? Do you think she has some resentment of what she's doing? How are you feeling about this relationship and her pursuing the king?
I think she's one of those people that pretends to be like a babe in the woods. It's like, why, whatever do you mean? Like, what are you referring to? Like that kind of thing. But all along, she kind of knows what's going on because I don't think she's she would get like spicy with her dad. Like, I'm not going to the king's chambers. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm not going to do that. Right. Yeah. But she was like, okay, I guess I'll go. So I think she knows what she's doing. I think that she understands that, without her father being a hand, if anything were to happen, they would lose their station. Like, she has an opportunity to place herself at the side of the king, and that's a powerful place to be in. She's not stupid, but I think she knows what she's doing, i.e. her tearing her fingers up. She's anxious about, the fact that she's like, dating her dad's, like her best friend's dad, and she's doing it under the cover of darkness, and she knows it's wrong, and she knows what she's doing, but she's going to continue to do it because she doesn't want to upset her dad, and she might want to just be queen, and that's okay.
Which that is and it's tossing to you, Johnny. Do you think that is something that she is fully going for? Is that being the next queen, or do you think, as Elle said, her picking at her fingers, you can tell when she's uncomfortable. You can tell that she's not fully on board with this. Like, she can obviously be like a Cersei Lannister and just play into all this, but she's very reluctant to this relationship. So, your thoughts on Alicent, and if there's any pureness to her friendship to Rhaenyra?
I think there's a pureness to the friendship, but I think, like Elle was saying, she's trying to figure out where does she fit into this whole process. Where does she realm after the king is gone or even now? If she needs to find herself a spot, and she might even be thinking that, okay, this is the best spot for me to be to protect my friend.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like she's trying to usurp her. She's just trying to protect her. And then when I see these dresses that she's going into the king's room with, I'm like, that one with all the cutouts all the way down the arm and everything. I'm like, wow, this guy is. I expected this. I expected something to happen, and of course, by the end of the episode, we know what happens.
Going back to that, Elle, just to get your thought, I guess I never really looked. Do you feel like Alicent, in a way, in some friendship, kind of close sisterhood, that she's trying to protect Rhaenyra by getting in this position of power? Do you any agreements with that?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody could look at Rhaenyra and be like, you know what? I need to protect her. I think she's in danger right now. I think she needs help, and I need to save her, and I'm gonna be the one to do it. And if that is what she thinks about Rhaenyra, then she's confused, because Rhaenyra doesn't need saving. She went into in a foreign land on a dragon, surrounded by men on a bridge that looked like the Great Wall of China in the dark, you know what I mean? And she did her thing, and she did what 40 men couldn't do, and she is a girl at this point. So I don't think she needs saving, and I don't think Alicent wants to save her. I do think she is conflicted, because that is her girl. I do think they have a true friendship, and I do think that they care about each other, but I do think that Alicent is being self-serving and doing what she's doing, because she could very well just be like, I had lunch with your dad last week, and we have lunch every Saturday, but the king doesn't want her to tell, and then she hasn't told either. So I'm not. She's being slick.
It's tough, because I do think there is some, again, her, when I see her doing those little character beats of her picking at her nails, you can tell that she's definitely uneased about this. And again, she's not like relishing in this. She's not like smiling and looking at Rhaenyra and being like, oh, I'm your mama now, or your stepmom. So there seems to be a little bit of like inside of her, and I'm really excited to learn more about the Hightower family and her relationship with her mother, if her mom was forced into a relationship with her dad, and how all that kind of played. I'm really excited to learn more about them. But kind of backtracking, Johnny, starting off with you, last week we got kind of a cold open. We didn't get the traditional intro. The theme didn't really kick in. It just kicked right into things. But this week they did a little bit something different in a way. They gave us a brand new opening sequence title card, and going through which I got to look at it again. I'm not sure exactly. We were going through the crypts of the Targaryens and all that, but the theme, they kept the same theme song from Game of Thrones. I thought they were going to remix it or have something new and fresh, but I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, Johnny, starting with you, man, what did you think about this intro?
Yeah, I noticed that, and immediately, and I'm not a music person, so I might be using the wrong term, but it seemed like it was like an octave down or something. It was like a little bit different, but it was very close to the theme. And is that blood going through there? I mean,
it's so, man.
I picked this up and and I was like, oh, okay, that's this is like more fire than blood, but maybe it's supposed to represent the same thing as blood going through the whole. Wow, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed then in the season, and it's going to permeate all of King's Landing because. It was nice to see that again because it seemed like we didn't have that anymore, and I paid attention to it, but again, I've got to watch it again because it's always important somehow in the episode,
right?
Yeah. There's always something tied to it, so I couldn't figure out what it was from just seeing it the first time, but maybe it's going to take two or three watches of that to figure it out.
Yeah, I have it pulled up. I'm not going to play it because I don't want HBO to pull the stream down. But like you guys said, the importance of the intro is very integral to the story, to the season. I even said it in my watch log. It took me about to season 1 after I binged it to realize how integral the intro of the show was because it gave us the lay of the land and the different houses. So yes, very like you said, John. I'm gonna have to go back and kind of revisit this sequence, really kind of dive into it. But tossing to you, Elle, what did you think about the intro, and were you surprised it didn't change the theme, or do you just like this is one of the best scores ever, so I'm glad they brought it back?
I love that score. If and I'm gonna date myself right now, but everybody just take it easy on me. But you remember ringback tones? If they had ringback tones like now, that would have been my ringback tone. That would have been it. Like, because if you know, and if you don't, it's like a nice little vibe that you can like wait until I pick up the phone. But I was surprised that they kept the same song. I really was, because this is supposed to be an entirely new 172 years prior to what we saw in GOT, and so I was surprised by that, but I wasn't mad at it either because they stand a real chance of me hating the freaking song. And that would have made me hot if they would have put a song on this great, show that I hated. And, it's big shoes to fill. So if it ain't broke, I'm not mad at that. But I think the opening scene with the blood, it reminded me of Blade. And I don't remember which Blade it was.
It's good. But
I think it was it the first one? Maybe, I don't know, but that's what I was reminded of, and I don't know. I can giggle a little bit, but it reminded me of Blade. I like it. I thought it was really cool, and I'm interested to see once I learn more about the house sigils and where they are in relation to whoever else. What I'm gonna pick up from the openings, because I don't know these people. I don't. I guess the seahorse is Laura Corliss's family, but other than that, I don't really know anybody's seal or sigil. So that's gonna be interesting for me. I'm excited about that too.
Very excited. Again, I'm gonna definitely rewatch this episode, kind of pick it apart and kind of dive deeper into it. But jumping right into this thing, one of the things we're seeing is, and you kind of touched on it, Elle, we see the sea snake and Lord Corlys talking about there's a war brewing. This, so far as we know, for King Viserys, it's been a reign of peace. He hasn't had to draw blood. They haven't had to go to war. It's been a very peaceful time in King's Landing. But there's this new Crab King that's starting to shake up some things and taking out Lord Corlys, his men and his ships. And we got a little glimpse of him at the end of the episode. So I'm very excited to learn more about him. But again, the importance of this kind of opening scene is Rhaenyra. Elle, Rhaenyra, she's sitting there, pouring the cups, but she has something to say. Like, Father, I need to remind you, Dad, we have dragons. I am a dragon rider, and I can, use a dragon and help out Lord Corliss and these issues. And Daddy wasn't happy about that. He did not like the fact that his daughter kind of spoke out of hand of a sense and kind of gave her 2 cents in the matter. But again, it's showing you her leadership skills. What do you think about Rhaenyra kind of stepping up and being a strategist?
I was here for it because her daddy is like a bad manager. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we are telling you,
he's a good man, but not a good leader.
Wrong, right? Like we are telling you what you need to do. I don't understand why I would have said the same. What are we having conversations for? I could take my smallest dragon on his lowest day when he is hungry and tired to this area, blow it up, and we can come back and have lunch. Like, we don't even need to have a conversation about this. What are we talking about? And it's like he wants to. I don't believe he's a good king, because just because you have peace and just because you are like, keeping it easy and you don't want to offend anybody, no, that's not always the right take. And I think Rhaenyra was right in that. And I think that because, I think if they really wanted to make her feel as though she was the next heir apparent to the throne, she wouldn't be serving wine still. Why was she even there? That's what I was confused about in the beginning. Like, if I'm gonna be next to sit on the Iron Throne, you can pour your own wine. Somebody needs to pour me some wine. So that just shows that they're not taking her seriously, and they're not wanting to hear her at all. And it's not because she's a child. It's because it's because she's a child, but it's because she's a girl, right? She's a woman. And what do women know about these things? But who came to the rescue and who saved the day? Because had she not gotten there, Otto with his stupid self would have been dead, and I'm sure Damon and it would.
I wouldn't have been mad at it if they would took out Otto in this first.
I have not liked Otto since I saw his beady eyes on the very first scene of the show. Like, I haven't liked him at all. I think he's gonna be a great character.
Oh yeah,
but I hate watching him. But I said all that to say that they're gonna rue the day that they didn't listen to Rhaenyra, because she sees what time it is and they're just not listening to her.
Which is so interesting too, that she has that kind of again, they say that Targaryens, it's a flip of a coin with a Targaryen. They can either be good, noble people like we see with the king, or they can be like, Daemon. So, and she's kind of, I think she's somewhere in the middle. I think she can, if things get feisty, you want to throw those hands, she can get to those levels, but she's also to be diplomatic and kind of pull back a little bit. But Johnny, man, again, your thoughts on Rhaenyra and this sense of leadership, of stepping up and kind of speaking her mind and letting her dad know, like, we are the Dragon Riders, Dad. We can easily take them out if we wanted to.
She definitely had leadership, and there could have been a lot of fire roasted crab by the time they got done with everything. The patriarchy is kicking and screaming, and it's not letting go of anything. And the fact that she was still pouring, I was amazed at that. She's the heir. You still have her pouring wine. Come on, and then when they're dismissing her, talking about the dragons, and then the unintended consequence of that is now they get Sir Kristen Cole, who is going to be probably her ally.
I like Cole. I like Cole.
So I like what happened there, but even there, they're questioning her. She makes a choice, and she tells them, and then finally, is like, okay, I don't want a guy that just is that has just been a tourney, a jouster. I want somebody that has combat experience. So the unintended consequence of them not listening to her was that they're getting Sir Kristen Cole for the Kingsguard, which is great, but. I thought it was hilarious when they said when they told him that the princess is returning from
she's doing what now? What?
Exactly. The look on the king's face. Somebody needs to make that into a meme.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that someone's on it right now when parents, kids just don't listen to the parents or something.
Like, my dad had that look on his face more times than not. You did what? What did you?
I'll ask for forgiveness after the fact, after I retrieve the dragon egg and not shed blood. But it's very interesting, man. I'm very, very interested in her leadership skills. And again, is she too forward, or is she making the right moves? Only time will tell. But Lord Corliss, man, he seems to be on this kind of, again, do you all, now, if you were to choose, who do you trust more, Lord Corliss or Otto? Because again, we don't know much of Otto, but who would you put into who would you be your hand of the king? Would you have Otto, giving you these tips, or would you let Lord Corliss take you into war and marrying his 8-year-old daughter, which we'll talk about? Who do you all trust more at this point?
Lord, I'm trusting Corliss. I don't because Corliss has to his point had to earn everything he's gotten, and right. I know he's learned from that, right? Like he had to like get it out the mud, like the kids say. So like that comes with that comes a lot of experience, a lot of lessons learned, a lot of listen, don't go over there, because if you do, this is who's there and that's what he's going to do. But if you go here, you could deal with this person, like that kind of thing. He's very strategic. He's very smart. I'm sure he hasn't gotten to marry up to his station without having some, and then his family is very, very wealthy, right? He just was saying that to Damon that, we got coins too. So like we're not anything to throw away. Now Otto Hightower, on the other hand, I don't know who he is. I don't know where he comes from. And he looks like he has everything riding on being the hand of the king. And being the hand of the king gives him a position to turn the neck of the king, like to do whatever he, to make the king believe whatever he wants. He's very manipulative to his own means, though. So no, for Otto Hightower, I don't trust him. He looks unwell. I don't like that. And Lord Corliss looks very healthy and very kept and very well put together and very well spoken. So Lord Corliss for the win for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. Johnny, how you feeling, man? Are you trusting more Corliss, or do you feel like, because we still haven't really gotten to know either one of these characters so far? It looks like Otto is the little finger of the situation, but who knows? We might. Jaime Lannister, for the first few seasons, he was hated, but he ended up, we end up liking Jaime, even though he slept with his sister and all that, gross stuff. But Johnny, who do you trust more, Corliss or? And
I don't want this to get too boring for everybody, but we have a trio of Team Corliss here.
Yeah.
Because I like the fact that he earned everything that he got, and that's probably why he's being dismissed in the council. Is that he's looked at as like nouveau riche by everybody else, because they're all old money. As far as Otto Hightower, I don't know what this guy's doing other than facilitating a weak king. And maybe that's the way that he's keeping power for himself, is if I facilitate a weak king, I can just keep the status quo and keep my position that way. Because if we go to war, or if we do something and I give him the advice that, okay, go after Daemon or go after the crab feeder, and it ends up contrary, that I'm going to lose my spot. So he's doing everything that he can to keep his spot, but he's facilitating the fact that we have a weak king and who's being taken advantage of.
Which is so interesting, because I would think if I'm Otto, he seems to be been able to kind of manipulate the king to the best of his abilities and still have some type of position of power. Like, you're the hand of the king. You're not no one. No one can just step up to you and just say whatever. So it is very interesting, to your point, Johnny, and that kind of brings us to this next scene, Elle. This manipulation of the sorts of him again putting these people in a position of power to replace Daemon to lead the watch, and him picking these people that don't have any experience. They're just like new, no combat experience, and him, like Johnny said, weakening the king. What benefit does he have of doing that, besides obviously having his daughter marry the king, having a son, and his grandson being a king? But that's a long game. But what do you see this position that Otto finds himself in?
I mean, I think, listen, we in what is this, the year like 100? Like, all games are the long games, you know what I mean? I don't think they have anything that is quick and like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's his strategy. Like, that's the only way, because I really don't feel like, I don't know where he comes from. I don't. Yep. I think from last episode, I remember hearing House Hightower, but it could have just been him as being the house. I don't know if
correct. They did mention Hightower. I think it is not a prominent family, but a known family. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he could have literally all his eggs in this basket. And if he does not secure his bag will come to an end. So he's gonna use his daughter, like all men do in this time, to secure himself and secure his name and to make his name something that it might not be. But I'm interested to hear what his backstory is, though. I really want to know where he comes from.
Yeah.
What did he do to be at the side of the king? Like, did they fight in battle together? Did they go to school together? Like, where did he come from to have such a position? Because he doesn't seem particularly smarter than anyone else, or like more rational than anybody else. He doesn't seem extraordinary in any way. So where the hell is he coming from? So,
That's a great point.
Yeah,
it's a very great point, because it reminds me, because I go back to Game of Thrones and look at Varys, not Varys, what was his name? The bald, was it Varys? I think it is Varys. And Littlefinger, how they talked about how they literally came from the streets and had to kind of winnow their way into position of their power. And I wonder if Otto had the same path, or if, like Elle, like you mentioned, I think Hightower was maybe at one point was a prominent home, but then they kind of lost, and people died, and Targaryens came in. So like you said, I'm very intrigued to learn more about if he comes from money, or if he did the whole Littlefinger route where he literally came from the streets and got his way into this hand of the king, or if they're best friends. And then
I don't know. He just makes me feel like he's a weasel. Nothing about him seems like he's an upstanding guy. He just made people think that he is, but all the while he's just like a little snake in the grass,
I can't look. Elle and Johnny, I can't wait for that episode till we find out that he's actually a good guy. He's a good guy with a good head.
That's what I'm thinking now, yeah.
I think they're going to play us like they did Jamie. They set him up to be the manipulator, again, the Littlefinger, but he's going to end up being probably someone that we end up liking by
this guy's he's gonna get sainthood by the time we're done.
Exactly. But we talked about this gentleman here briefly, but starting with you, Johnny, man, what are you thinking about Cole, man? He's kind of the knight in shiny armor so far, if you want to call him. I don't want to say Jon Snow, but he seems to be a noble gentleman, a noble king, or noble knight, someone that seems to have the respect and also the eye of Rhaenyra. Is this a character you're excited to learn more about? And I think it's safe to say that he is, like I said, the hero of his sorts of this narrative so far. What do you think about Mr. Cole?
I felt that it was interesting that because it seems like they're changing the story around, because they said that he was from Dorne, and then he said he was in the Stormlands. I think they might have I think there's a continuity error or something there somewhere, because I know from watching some other shows that he supposedly was from Stormlands all along, but they changed it to Dorne. But anyway, it's interesting because they have that bond of, something was going on during the tourney, and she's asking Sir Harold, what do you know about this Kristen Cole? I think he's going to be a very important ally for Rhaenyra. Very important.
I believe so. He could be. I can't think of the gentleman that was recasted after a while. The guy before Drago died, or the guy that kept her safe before Drago when he passed away. I think it's going to be a similar situation there. But before we get to Elle and your thoughts on Mr. Cole, and if he's someone we can trust, or does he have his own, backstabbing ways? Shout out to Niecy Smith with the $5 super chat. Always appreciate seeing her name in the chat. Having a good time with the watch alongs and discussions. Such a great show. Well, thank you, Niecy. It is such a great time when we have the watch alongs, and even better when we have these discussions like we're doing tonight. So shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. And everyone, again, thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe. Check out Elle and Johnny's channel, which I will be leaving their information in the description of this video. But Elle, stage is yours, man. Cole seems to be a good guy. He beat Daemon last week. He got the good grace of the princess. Is he a good guy, or are we going to end up finding out that he got his own motives and his own intentions to the throne?
I think it would be foolish for anybody, good or bad, to get into a position where you're in the realm of like the king and the throne or whatever, to not try to like get a bag or place yourself in a better position. But generally, I think Christian Cole is a good guy. I think that he is intriguing to Rhaenyra because one, he's like different than everybody else, right? Everybody else is highborn. They probably like first cousins with all, with each other, and like, you know what I mean? And he has beat up armor, and he pulled his face shield down and it looked like a pasta strainer last week. So I know, he's like really coming up and not highborn at all. And that's intriguing to a young girl, right? And that's intriguing to both Alicent and Rhaenyra because they were both looking at him like, who is that? Ooh.
Yeah, young blood.
And I think that he's gonna be a good guy. I think he's actually probably gonna be set up to be a love interest for Rhaenyra, probably. And I'm here for it because he's a good looking little dude. Okay. And I think that it's gonna be a little spicy because he is gonna be set up for Rhaenyra, but also her uncle is being set up for her as well because they were a little
something going on there. Yep.
Right. So I think that's gonna be great. And I think that I don't want to go too far into it, but I think he's a good guy. That's the moral of my story.
I hope he is, Elle. And I had to comment on it earlier, but it's so true. I mean, we all know that good guys don't last that long. And here it is. Here, Skylar. Shout out to Skylar who joined us last week. But Skylar saying Sir Cole he'll be a decent guy, which means he's going to be dead by the season 3.
All right,
that checks out, Skylar. That definitely checks out. But yes, I am very excited to learn more about this character again. Like you all said, seeing if he has true intentions. Is he a true knight in shining armor? Or does he work for someone that wants to get in a position of power, which we know that is the ultimate goal for a lot of these characters in Game of Thrones, which again, speaking of position of power, Johnny, man, again, we're seeing this relationship develop between the king and Otto's daughter, Alicent, and she is playing a game. She is going to his chambers, listening to his stories, his hobbies. Oh, you like to build this and that and the other, and just being that ear that he needs because obviously we know he lost his wife and lost his son. Again, do we feel there? Does the king feel bad? Do you think that the king kind of feels bad inside, that he kind of knows where this is going, but is still playing to this relationship? What do you think about this dynamic and this scene in particular of her just kind of, making him like, oh, well, you're interested in maybe we can be a thing one day.
I don't think he cares. I don't think he feels bad at all. Period. About it. I don't think he's feeling bad. I don't think he's feeling guilty. I think he feels that he's the king, and although, as I have characterized him as an ineffectual, weak king, I still think he is. He's going to be like, I'm the king, and the king does what the king wants to do, and if I want to marry her and I want to have companionship and somebody with me, I'm going to do it, and everybody else be damned, and that's what ends up happening in the council there when he announces it and Corlys loses it and walks out. But I don't know. I don't think he feels bad at all. I think he's looking at it for himself and his own self-interest.
What about you, Elle? Do you think the king has any remorse that he's, number one, interacting with his daughter's best friend, number two, interacting with it? And he doesn't know that obviously Otto sent her. He thinks that this is just a genuine relationship that's kind of developing on its own organically, but we know Otto set this up. But do you think he has any ill will of this relationship, or is he just, again, a man with a broken heart, kind of vulnerable at this point, and someone's lending their ear to hear him out? What do you think about this, the king's mindset of this young love?
I think the king is stupid, to be quite honest, because I don't understand why I don't know. I understand he's like lonely and, wife passed away and my child passed away and what am I going to do? But he's the king of all of everybody. He could call anybody right now. He could send a raven right now and get the most beautiful girl in the world, the most intelligent person on the planet.
Of age. Also,
okay, of age. Let's talk about it because that was just him being just stupid. There's no other way to get around that for me. I just can't see that he had to know that that would be inappropriate or hurtful to his child. He had to know that by passing up on Lord Corliss 2 times, right? Because his wife, the queen that never was, you wouldn't also call me that to my face either, because no, that's the ultimate. Don't disrespect me like that, everybody. But his wife was passed over, now his daughter's being passed over, and then you don't even have the decency to tell me, hey, I decided to go another way with it. I'm gonna just announce it in front of everybody and embarrass you, because everybody knows that there was talks of him marrying that child, and he decided not to be smart about it, because now he's made an enemy of Corliss. But if he was smart, he would have said, okay, well, I'm not gonna marry your daughter. She's just too young. I'm also not gonna marry this child because that's my whatever's best friend. I'm gonna marry Lady whoever the hell of some
whoever's
right?
some other high
you
power
can
family
that way, right? You know what I mean? So it just wasn't smart, and that's why that throne is eating him up, because he's just not
literally
literally eating him up. He looks like what Tony Soprano sounded like towards the Sopranos. He looks unwell.
He does.
He does. Him up because he's too weak to sit in it.
Great call. Which is it love? Does he love Allison, you think? Is this like this clouded judgment? Because again, as you just mentioned, Elle, the power move, and we'll talk about the disgustingness of the, Corliss giving his daughter off and the queen or the princess, but the position, the smart move would have been to join the Valerian family, because they are the most powerful family, and to join them would have been the logical sense. And we'll talk about how disgusting it is, but logically speaking, that would have been the power move. Yeah. Him dating, or him deciding to court and marry Otto, or Otto's daughter, a Hightower. And again, we don't know their position. They don't seem to be a wealthy family. It makes me think that there has to be maybe a little bit of like, he loves her in a sense. Johnny, do you think that's the case, or again, blind love, innocent love?
I just think he's creepy AF, and I don't think it's love at all. I think it's lust, and he's filling it. He's filling in a void for himself. I don't think he's in love with her at all. And it lustful, ineffective, weak. Elle said stupid. So I'm keeping this chart on this king, I
don't know, y'all. I think the king might be in love, Elle. I don't know, because
he doesn't even see that he's being manipulated, right? Because she's like, oh, you need to just marry somebody smart or somebody that's kind and lovely, or whatever she said. And then she's like, oh, by the way, here's this rock that I took and mended for you. And then he's like, oh, how lovely and kind of you. Like, girl, that you are manipulating him, and he can't even see it. Right. But I think it's like when you are in a vulnerable state, if somebody comes in, is like, telling you all the right things and is being kind to you and being like a balm to your little soul, it's gonna make you feel some kind of way, and you may confuse that with love, and you might actually think that you are in love. But I will say I can't say that, because I think I'm coming from Game of Thrones, because this is not that. Because prior to Viserys's reign, there was already like a decades-long peacetime then. Right. So he's not known war either. He's not had to be savvy. He's not had to watch out for backstabbers and cutthroats, because they didn't have the need for that. And so I think my take might be coming from Game of Thrones, because like, how could you be? Because these people gonna try to kill you already, but that's not where we at now. So I maybe need to relax on Viserys a little bit, because I was giving him heat, but I still think he's just not the smartest king.
He's not. He's not. He doesn't have that leadership that his daughter seems to have. But kind of speaking of, again, we talked a little bit about it a little bit earlier, but just kind of dive into the actual scene here, and starting with you, Johnny, just your thoughts on this particular scene. Again, we talked about Rhaenyra and her best friend, Allison. And in this scene, to me, again, this is where I'm coming from in regards to, I do think Allison, inside of her, really wants to be a friend to Rhaenyra and wants her best interests as best as she can. And this was a scene that I thought kind of highlighted that. Again, she could be manipulating her, which, we'll get into. But Johnny, your thoughts on this scene between these two good friends, of how she says how she deals with grief, losing her mom, and how she's dealt with it, and passing on this information to soon to be her stepdaughter.
Yeah, I think I have the same feeling about her. I know that I think there's probably going to be other people who think that she's manipulative and she's manipulating the whole situation, but I think she really cares about her friend, and I kind of felt that way since the first episode when you see the way that they interacted, how they're like huggy with each other, how they're always close to one another, and I think she really does care about her, and she's trying to do her best to first of all maintain her position, and then make sure that her friend doesn't get hurt.
Elle, is she a good friend? Is she a true friend? She's trying to protect her friend that we talked about earlier by not revealing certain things, and also appeasing her dad by doing, obviously talking to the king. It's, again, I'm excited to learn more about Allison, but she's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. What do you think about this friendship, and is it genuine, or is it just stepmom vibes, giving her stepdaughter some information?
Nah, I don't know. I mean, 2022 Elle is like, that's not what friends do, right? That's not what friends do. Friends don't say, "Oh, yeah, I'm about to go see Mr. James after work." Like, I'm not gonna go and like talk to your dad and like hang out with him, and we're not gonna watch Sunday Night Football together, and you don't know about it. Like, that would just be crazy weird. But I think back during this time, if a woman doesn't put herself in a position to win, she will not win. Like, she can't do anything without a man at this point, which upsets my whole soul. But we're not talking about that. But I think Allison is, in general, I think she's a good friend, but in a lot of ways she's a trash friend. Because the way that you were investing time into the king, did you invest that time in Rhaenyra? Did you have lunch with Rhaenyra when you were, out and about? Did you go and, pet her dragon with her? Did y'all go walk around the park? Like, what did you do for Rhaenyra to soothe her? Because she lost her mother and her brother as well.
Yeah.
And now she's in this really vulnerable position of being the heir apparent. And have you talked to her about that? How does she feel about that? Like, all this time you invested in the king because that serves her. Which is why I'm like, part of me is like, I don't think so. Because going back to those fingers, she's tearing up her fingers for a reason.
Yeah, she's abusing it because she is. I think genuinely, I think Allison, I think inevitably the throne gets to you, that the hunger of power gets to you. Yeah. But I think right now, as a young 15-year-old, I think she genuinely does feel uncomfortable about this whole situation. She's kind of caught in this dilemma. But yeah, again, Johnny, tossing it back to you again. We see this moment here that she's, and to your point, Elle, I think unfortunately we haven't seen those moments as far as, like you just mentioned, Allison being a friend for Rhaenyra, but I think even the king asks, Allison, how is Rhaenyra? And she tells she's not doing good, So I think there are moments that she has spent time with her. We just haven't seen it on screen. But again, Johnny, your thoughts on this relationship, man, and this battle between his friends once we get to this episode, as far as his friendship never being the same again.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be strained. They were close. And they were together and practically inseparable now. But her becoming the stepmother is going to be really strange for Rhaenyra, and it's gonna totally throw the dynamic upside down. So I don't know how the friendship survives. I don't really think that Allison has bad intentions toward Rhaenyra, but she's not really thinking about this too much as far as her friend. She's more trying to maintain her own position in the realm and in the aristocracy.
Yeah. Well said, guys. Again, we're about approaching the hour mark, and I appreciate my two guests and everyone watching this live stream. Again, thumbs up, share, comment, and let us know what you're thinking. And then a little bit later, when we wrap things up, if you guys want to join the stream and throw in your 2 cents, that line will be open. But all right, let's talk about this moment. We talked about Corlys, his wife, the power couple that they be. But well, I'm gonna toss it to you first. This conversation at hand. Yeah, so this couple thought it would be a good idea to keep the bloodline strong. And by strong, they are given their daughter, who, again, I can't remember if she was 9 or 12. She looks 5, if I'm being honest with you. But they decide to sell their daughter off to the king to build this powerhouse of these two families. How your stomach is turned inside out, as I was during that scene, to see this family, this husband and wife, who we haven't really seen a dynamic duo in Game of Thrones like this that are on the same page. Your thoughts on this offer?
You could throw that whole thing in the trash can. That was terrible. I when I saw that the girl, it looked like a grandpa and the grandbaby, like walking in the park, and he telling them about how he had to walk to school in the snow and do you know what I mean? It just looked
He was
so
he was there on a date essentially.
weird to me, and I just couldn't even see that ask would have been completely like mind-boggling as a parent. Like, how do you even anyway? But I think that it shows their level of hunger for power, right? Like, because you don't have, that's not an offer you have to make. Like, you can have another offer. You could do something different. You can say, listen, if you make me the hand, I'll make sure every lady fleet. You know what I mean? You don't have to do.
Or they have a son. Your son can marry Rhaenyra, and we have this powerhouse of a family.
Yeah.
Not the thing that you do, but I think that they are so hungry for power that they are willing to send that child into danger and to be put in a completely vulnerable situation. And then even went so far as to rehearse what she should say to the child, to the king. Like, I will give you many children, my lord. Ask her how biologically she's gonna get them children. She doesn't know because she's a child. And it was very inappropriate and very, very weird. And I think too that Rhaenys, I think
the queen that never was.
The queen that never was. I think she is so bitter about being passed over that she's not seeing clearly. Like, I don't think she would have made that choice if she was the queen. If she was the queen asking, somebody came and said, "Oh, I'm gonna marry a 7-year-old," she would have tossed them out, right? So
or I mean, we'll talk about it. Or would she? Because she did tell Rhaenyra, I know what it takes to make those decisions. So maybe she has that DNA.
Maybe so, but I don't know. But I'm ready for her though. I think she's gonna be a great character. She's so bitter and like.
Are we getting Cersei vibes? Is
Cersei
going on here?
That would be great for me. That would be
one
great.
of the best villains ever, Cersei Lannister. Johnny, man, your thoughts on this, and we'll talk about the scene. But your thoughts on did your stomach turn when you saw Corlys?
Oh my God, that
offer their daughter, which Skylar brought up. Yeah, that is their cousin too. It's like they're keeping it in the family. So let's layers.
Yeah,
layers
I saw that. I saw that in the comments. That isn't that her cousin? I mean, this is Game of Thrones. Cousin doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it chilled me to the bone when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, this is, these writers and this, I don't know if it's George R. Martin, the original material, and the show is just like, they have the capability to
get under your skin.
To revolt you in one turn. And they want to get power. And they're trying to figure out, how are we going to get power? And I'm trying all these things. I'm trying to get the king to help me with the crab catcher. I'm trying, how are we going to do this? And they're offering up their young daughter as a sacrificial king's concubine at 8 years old or whatever she is. I mean, totally disgusting and revolting and. It's Game of Thrones.
And yet again, this kind of shows how we speak to the king. He might be reluctant to make these tough decisions. He might not make these decisions that need to be had to really rule the kingdom, but he the look on his face when they said that what you want to sell, you want to do what now? He was not for it, which again speaks to his character. But they were about it, man. They did not flinch. They were not joking. Obviously, they were very serious about their offer. And it just again is like Elle and Johnny said, and everyone in the chat is saying, this is just showing us this is what Game of Thrones is about. People are willing to give their youngest child to the wolves if it means that they can get a better position to or closer to that throne, which is crazy. But shout out before we move on, shout out to my man Eric, Throne Reviews, Aaron Thorne Reviews. Sorry, Eric. This is GOT. Incest is unfortunately this is the show we know. Again, the first episode of season 1 of Game of Thrones, we met Jaime and Cersei Lannister and saw what they were doing and what they have done over the years and who Joffrey Daddy was. So this is part of the show, but it doesn't mean it makes it easier. That's for sure. Just because we've seen it before. But again, this power couple, we've never seen two couples be on the same page as often as they are, and they seem to be on the same wavelength. So they're powerful, man. I don't agree with their decisions, but a husband and wife that agree with each other can be very dangerous in this Game of Thrones. But I'm kind of looking through these next scenes, and again, we got the king talking to his daughter, and Elle, you brought it up here earlier. The man's rotten. He's rotting from the inside, Elle. And I want to toss to you first. What's going on with the king? Any theories of, is it the throne that's literally eating him alive? I don't know. What's going on with the king? And how many more days does he have to live on as the king?
The king is not too long for this world. He is about to be up out of here. Like I could just tell. And I know obviously that has to happen because, whatever, but I do think that it is probably that he's too good of a person. Like he's too pure of heart, and he wants to just keep it calm, and everybody don't even worry about it. Don't worry about the stepstones that's way down there. We don't have to worry about it. Just everybody just chill. Let's have some pheasant and do our thing, right? And I think that you can do that, right? And I don't think that the king prior to him, Jaehaerys, I think his name was, always made the easy play to maintain peace. I feel like if you want to maintain peace, you have to kind of get scrappy from time to time. You have to do things to, maintain that peace. But I don't think he's I think he grapples with that. Like that's why he built that big old, whatever that is, like a his little stone.
His little
I think that's his way of getting some anxiety out. He's probably always stressed. His wife is passed. His son is passed. He done had to name a girl. I know he knows that that's a big thing. And
brother hates him.
Right. His brother hates him. I think he hears everything that the small council is telling him.
Right.
And then he processes that alone. I don't think in public he does, but after a while that will eat you up, and you will literally and physically have things to happen for you. But I also think the throne got some energy on it, and that throne is like, you need to go ahead, because it was just a little cut, like it was just a little nick, and there's no way he should be having to shove his hand in a whole bucket of maggots to make that work. And the thing on his back still hasn't healed, and he just looks real frail, and he's always bent over more so than we saw him in the first episode. And so I think he's he about to be going home to see his maker after a little while.
His days are numbered, Johnny. Your thoughts, man, on again this metaphor of as a lot of like Elle said, and Skylar and everyone in the chat is saying that his conscience is eating him alive, literally. And someone also mentioned too, I brought it up earlier in regards to maybe that sense of urgency. Again, we talked about there was other decisions besides marrying a 9-year-old and marrying a 15-year-old, but maybe again, this sense of urgency of like, I got to make a decision like right now because I'm going to die probably tomorrow, maybe plays into that. But your thoughts on the king and this ticking time bomb of death being right around the corner?
Yeah, I thought he was not long for this world. Last episode with the sore on his back, and then him getting cut from the throne, because as the Maester points out, it's indicative of somebody that is not fit for the throne if the throne starts to cut you. Mm-hmm. We don't know for a fact that that's how the sore on his back happened, obviously, but I don't think he's going to be around much longer, and he is literally rotting from the inside. If it's his conscience, I don't know what. I mean, other than the fact that he was chosen over Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm.
I get the names.
Yeah. I just call it the queen that never was.
The queen that never was. If he feels bad about that, the fact that he supplanted her, and they were talking about how ultimately, like I think in the last episode, when they had the recap of bringing us up to date, that he was chosen because he was kind or something like that. But he's not cut out for that throne, and it's killing him.
Yeah. And remember too, in the first episode, Daemon was sitting back, in the throne. He was comfortable in the throne, like the same throne that the king currently sits on. Right. He sat in it and was super comfortable, but the king was sitting literally like in square in the middle and got cut like randomly. Yep. But, Daemon is, he was quite comfortable.
It's a good point. He might be a good fit. That shoe fits. But we talked about it earlier, and before we get into this scene, again, another super chat here. Patty, because uncomfortable. Yeah, no, 100%. Patty's great. He's such a great actor, man. I love him in everything I've ever seen him in, especially when it comes to HBO, The Outsider, and all the various. He was on another Jude Law show a couple years ago that was fantastic. He's such a great actor, but yeah, he was definitely uncomfortable. Which
is he in The Young Pope? Is that what you're talking about?
No, not it was the Third Day. I think it was called The Third Day. Jude Law, he was like a reporter and went off to some island. It was a really good show, by the way.
Yes, I saw that one.
It was fantastic. But speaking of uncomfortable, Elle, we saw a man get his body parts disemboweled last week. We saw someone get an axe thrown in their face, and we saw, unfortunately, Emma, the birth pregnancy scene was very very uncomfortable, but I don't know if it's as uncomfortable as this scene here. Number one, shout out to this young lady, this actress who was in the scene. I thought she was great. You can tell that this is a big scene for her, and I'm sure that her family was so proud of her. Oh my goodness, Elle. When we saw this young lady walking with her cousin, whatever family tree, another relatives, and her saying the lines that I'm pretty sure her mom and dad recited to her overnight to kind of say, I can bed when I'm 14 and this, that, and the other. Elle, I tell you right now, I was so uncomfortable during this scene. Your thoughts on this a very uncomfortable moment?
It just I don't enjoy looking at this. It looked and it even looks like she's playing dress up. Like she doesn't even look like she's supposed to be wearing or styled the way that. Look at my arms are crossed. Like I'm defensive right now. Like I don't know, but she looks like she's playing dress up, and it looks inappropriate. It just looks wrong, and their body language was off. The king was like, what the hell am I doing out here? I don't want anybody to see me out here. He was looking around and looking to see. And she was like, what you got on these dragons, king? Like, I'm a kid. Like, let's talk about dragons. I want to see a dragon. I want to play with a dragon because she's a child.
Exactly.
Needs to be doing some addition and subtraction on the abacus or something, because not what she was doing with the king. It was ridiculous. I don't ever want to see that again. But I know that, and I don't want to skip, but I'm excited to see the time jump. I can see her when we time jump, but I don't want to see her currently right now.
I agree. And Johnny, man, we see the princess looking onto this and just seeing how her father has to make these decisions and how uncomfortable she feels about it. But just your thoughts, Johnny, before we kind of go into the scene, and one of the more beautiful scenes as far as dialogue goes between her and her the queen that never was. What did you think about that? Again, the scene between the king and this 9-year-old.
We're supposed to suspend reality when we're watching these programs, and we're supposed to think, okay, this is just a show, and this is not really happening. But when you see a young child like that, and you see that, it has to disgust you totally. And then to see, to see his daughter looking onto this thing, and you kind of wonder, what is she thinking? What is my father doing? And like, why is my father with her? And knowing what's going on with her friend, it's chilling, and it was a really strong scene.
Yeah, very, like you guys said, very uncomfortable. I felt for her, and again, it's going to be very interesting when that time jump happens. When we see her again, and how she, obviously feels about maybe not being chosen and being picked by her mom, giving her and her dad giving that blessing. Which, like I said, I think this was one of the best scenes dialogue wise. My favorite scene's coming up here in a little bit. But Elle, man, what did you think about the queen that never was talking to the future queen that could be if things work out in her favor? But there's just the moments, again, we hate the mom right now because what she put her daughter in the position to be in. But whether we like it or not like it, this is Game of Thrones, and they are striving, they're thriving for the throne. And she tells her, "I know what it means to be in position of power. I know what it takes to make those decisions." So, what did you think about this scene between the two family members here?
So, initially, what I thought was that's it. That was pretty accurate. It's not like that all the time, but it can be like that. And when I say it, meaning two women in power positions, like clashing, because I feel like, and this show obviously is very, like, the thread of patriarchy is all up and through the show, right? And so I think that the aunt Rhaenyra, I'm talking about the queen who never was. I don't want to call her that, but that's how y'all gonna know who I'm talking about. Yeah. So I think that she is, one, she's bitter. Two, I think that she is trying to put her on game a little bit. Like, they're not gonna put you in this thing.
Yeah,
like, they're not gonna do it. Like, just get comfortable with that. I'm trying to save you the heartache. But I also think too that she's trying to position her child. Like, there's a lot of things going on, but mostly what I got from this scene was that two women in power clashing. Like, that's how we hear about women, and that's basically akin to what patriarchy does to women. Like, you can only have one woman in power. So is it gonna be me or is it gonna be you? It can't be the both of us right now. And I thought that instead of being like a maternal, she could have been that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
She lost her mom.
Mother that she lost.
Maternal, and she could have been like, listen, if they do this, you could do that. If they do that, then maybe you could do this. But that's not how it was. It was like, you stupid if you think that you're gonna be the queen one day.
Yeah. 100%. And someone mentioned in the comments too, we always talk about, again, the men being the most despicable of the show. And that is the case for most times, but the show has shown us, we talked about Cersei Lannister earlier, and obviously Daenerys being the mad queen that she ended up being at season 8. But sometimes the women of Game of Thrones can do some of the most despicable things that we can see on the show as well. But again, they can also offer this insight in this position of where the queen that never was, her perspective. But Johnny, man, your thoughts on this scene between these two powerful women in position of power?
As far as the queen that never was, it showed us again how bitter she is, and how much potential she has to be to lash out with that embitteredness that she holds inside of her. And of course, she's not going to be consoling or trying to give a friendly word to a fellow woman, and on how to treat the patriarchy, because she's so embittered and jealous of the fact that she's been named heir, that she can't contain herself. And I think that I like what you said earlier. I think she's got like a good potential to be a villain in this show, and I can't really wait to see what happens with this character, especially with the combination of her and Corlys.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And this comment here, yeah, that scene, that's a great call out. Cersei talking to
Yeah.
Sansa and telling her kind of what it means to be a woman in this world of men dominance. So yeah, very reminiscent, very parallel. Great call out there. And shout out to Sweet November 79 with the $20 super chat here. Thank you so much. Everything about how women and girls are pawns in the quest of the throne makes me respect Cersei and Dany's rage even more. I hope we get a female that nurturing this show. Yeah, I mean, it's very the female characters are my favorite characters of Game of Thrones is Arya. Sansa. The development of Sansa was one of the best character developments of all time in my eyes, because she was someone that was so afraid and just I love the growth of Sansa. So yeah, some of my favorite characters. My favorite character is Arya, but some of my Daenerys they're just so great. I just love the women in these shows and like Johnny just said, I'm very intrigued to see what becomes of the Queen that Never Was, but also obviously Rhaenyra, see her development. But yeah, it's well said. And again, shout out to you, Sweet November, with the super chat and a great comment there, and a lot of great commentary that you offered there. And I appreciate again the super chat. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where this relationship goes between these two, and if there is any more moments between them of bitterness, of advice, or more backstabbing. We'll see what holds of that relationship there. But Elle, man, again, getting back to that decision that the king is forced to make, whether it's his cousin or Otto's daughter, and how all that played out. Did the king make the right choice? Do you think he personally made the right choice in choosing Otto's wife or daughter to be his wife moving forward?
No, I think I think he saw a young, nice, smart girl who, was 9 times out of 10 fertile and gonna give him heirs, and that's what he needs to do. Is his duty. I think he really does believe in his duty to continue his line and have somebody on the throne and have an heir and all that. I think that he could have got that again in 900 different women in the realm. It didn't have to be her. But from what I know, like in actual history from around this time or like medieval times, people weren't really concerned about their daughter's feelings. You know what I mean? Like they would like marry their sister or their mother or something wild and gross, if it meant that it would give them an heir and keep them in power and keep their line in power. So with that being said, I think it was the wrong decision, but it's gonna make for a great show. I know that, because what's gonna happen for I think this episode is gonna be what gives us cause to jump, like to have the time jump, because everything that happened in this episode is gonna be the groundwork for the rest of the show and the rest of the season. You know what I mean?
Agree.
So I think I'm glad he made it, because it's gonna be a fantastic show, but I think it was the wrong call.
Yeah, which Johnny, toss it into you, man. Speaking of the wrong call, Otto, he comes to Dragonstone with his, I don't know, 15 deep. Like, come on, Otto, the man who you're going to his house now has a dragon, and you coming with 15 people, and that's it. But anyway,
I don't know what
they're having this discussion, Johnny, and things about to pop off. The dragon's coming out. It's about to be blood and fire. But I'm saying it right now, as far as 2 episodes in, this is my favorite scene of this show. When Rhaenyra came on that dragon, I got Daenerys Targaryen vibes all through me to that scene. Easily my favorite scene in the episode, Johnny. But the stage is yours, man. What did you think about this? The standoff and the word battle between the two of him calling Masera, his future wife, a whore, and you're wedding a whore, and this terrible decision, to Rhaenyra coming on that dragon.
Well, these 2 guys don't like each other, and we found that out last episode, and we found that out through the characterization of what the king was saying, that he only does these things to upset you. Going there with like 15 guys, what are you thinking you're going to accomplish? Do you think that you're so eloquent and you're so this guy's whacked? He thinks he's so smart that he's going to outsmart Daemon.
He just
with
chopped
15
up
guys.
100 men last week and
Right.
chopped their heads off. Yeah, it's like, what's going on?
So I didn't get that part of it at all. But I felt the same way when Rhaenyra shows up with the dragon. I was like, okay, now this is this equation has changed. I didn't think she was going to use the dragon on anybody.
Yeah, she just evened the
you know, I thought she was going to. I thought she was going to diffuse the situation, and she did. Yeah. But Otto Hightower has a lot more feeling about his own self-worth and abilities than he actually has.
Yes. He thought that I'm the hand of the king. You can't do anything to me.
Yeah, he overshot that one. Yeah,
100%.
That would have been a slaughter right there.
100%. Elle, I mean, first and foremost, I pulled up a couple shots here. First off, the landscape, the cinematography was absolutely breathtaking.
Wow. Awesome.
Such a great shot here. But your thoughts, Elle, on Otto thinking he gonna go in there, with a title, right? He's the hand of the king, and he has orders from the kings. He thought that was going to take him somewhere, which it didn't. And he was like my man Johnny said, and as well as my man Kevin Washington, it was about to be a blood house.
I don't understand. What was the name of the place you were going to, Otto? It's called Dragon Stone. The man has a dragon. I don't understand. Like, where would, and then when there was like the everybody drew their swords, he didn't even come with a sword. He just had his little pin and his little cloak, looking stupid on the thing. It was ridiculous. And I was confused because that's not how you negotiate, right? Like, you're at his house, you're on a bridge in the middle of nowhere. He could just kick you like they did in Anchorman. You remember on Anchorman when they kicked the dog off the bridge? I thought he was going to kick the man off the bridge, and that was just going to be the end of Otto. But I don't understand what he thought was going to happen. And I do agree that he thinks that he is more than what he is. Because if you take that little pin off,
just a man,
a frail man with a cloak on, and that means nothing to anybody else. And you already know that Daemon is about that action with the sword. Yeah, we saw what he can do. You can't do that, and you didn't bring a sword. He didn't bring a sword,
y'all. He brought some words to a knife fight, to a dragon.
And if I was Rhaenyra Targaryen, if I was Rhaenyra, if he tried to undermine me or talk spicy to me or like say anything out the side of his neck ever again, I would gladly remind him about the time when he almost got kicked off that bridge and I saved his life. And he needs to shut up talking to me because this was outdone. And that's always what is frustrating because she picked a great knight, and who was behind her second guessing her was Otto Hightower. Well, these are men that are highly regarded. Whatever. And then he goes and creates this mess that could have been really, really bad for everybody involved. Yeah. And who comes and saves the day? Rhaenyra.
Yes.
And that's gonna be like, I would definitely hold that over his head if I was.
Oh, you have to. I mean, and he didn't, and this wasn't in like private. It wasn't just those three. It was Damien's men saw this happen, and also Otto and his 15 men that he chose to go on this mission. Right. This is something that this is back in the day they didn't have cell phones and texts and Twitter, right? If this was Twitter, this would have been on World Star. This was yes, but the word travels. What Rhaenyra did, and this is a power move. And again, I want to take it right back to you, Elle, and get your thoughts on this, Johnny. Again, Elle, again, you all can watch the watch along we did earlier, but that power move, it was just so powerful to me. It was a leader, number one. It was a leader move for her to do that, and just the score and her dragon coming in. Elle, take it away. I mean, this scene is just beautiful. Seeing her come in and just being a boss.
It was beautiful, one, right? Because the seeing that dragon, which I believe his name is Bloodworm, I think. Seeing Bloodworm, like, and hearing the sound of the dragon and seeing like how scared everybody got because they apparently forgot that there was a dragon at Dragonstone, but we're not gonna go there again. But the scene where she flew under the clouds and you see the clouds kind of like parting and like, I didn't know what it was because I didn't anticipate her showing up, but I knew something was about to come. I thought it was gonna be the dragon that they were talking about that they hadn't seen. Like, you know, when the
yeah.
the little girl was talking about how the
Yeah.
dragon was gone and they heard the song. I thought that's what it was. So when I saw Rhaenyra on the back of Cyrex, I was like, come through, girl. Come through and say, but I thought she was gonna smoke her uncle. I don't
For a minute there, I'm like,
I was like, oh my God, she's about to smoke everybody. And that's how she's gonna get that egg back. And then I kept thinking, because I'm a goofball, like, what if she dropped the egg? You know, he threw the egg at her like an and
he
one
was just
pass.
playing with a hot potato with it, yeah.
What are we gonna do if the egg breaks? What's inside of it? Like, how does that work? Like, what if it slipped? I don't know. I was freaked out about that. But
Look, if that was a Marvel movie, he would have dropped the egg. Guardians of the Galaxy would have totally dropped it.
He would have dropped the egg, yeah. But I thought it was beautiful. Like, I just felt like, I don't know. You know how sometimes when you can see something and then you can feel what it's like to have maybe been there. Like, I was watching it and I felt like, oh, it's probably like damp and cold and windy. Just looking at it made me feel like I could picture what it felt like to be there. I would never want to be there because it looked like a terrible place.
Oh yeah,
it was beautiful.
Elle, you said something. I think, and again, we're living in the moment. Obviously, episode 2, we've been talking about it, but I think this is like one of those defining moments of the show that we're going to look back on the finale, season 2, which they announced was greenlit. I think they're going to go all the way to season 5. This is, in my eyes, this is a defining moment for this character, Rhaenyra. I think when we look back on House of Dragons, we're going to remember, though, like, again, Jon Snow going against, the armies of the Battle of the Bastards, or seeing, any of iconic Arya fighting the White Walker. Like, this to me is like a cemented moment of Game of Thrones lore. Johnny, man, again, do you agree with me and Elle that this is maybe a defining moment for this show as far as the scene here?
Yeah, this is just epic, it made you really feel the gravity of the situation. Well, first of all, looking at that fight and wondering, okay, what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of bloodshed here. And then when she comes in on the dragon, it's like, okay, is she going to? And I thought for a second, like, the same thing as Elle. I think she said that, she's gonna smoke her uncle. Yep. Is she going to take them out? And then when she gets off of the dragon, I had Daenerys feelings of Daenerys coming off of the dragon, and then I was like, okay, this is good. She's going to diffuse the situation. She's showing her leadership. She's showing what a diplomat she can be. And I think this is foreshadowing for things we're going to see later on. Maybe she's going to be able to use that relationship with her uncle to forge some more diplomacy and to try to stave off war within the family.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I'm trying to pull it up here now. Again, when I think of this scene, this reminds me so much. And you all mentioned her name, and one of my favorite characters ever. She had a very similar. People told her the same thing. Tyrion told her to not go to north of the Wall to save Jon Snow back in, what was that, season 7, I want to say, when she went and held off the White Walkers and ultimately lost one of her dragons. But and I've killed the momentum of the stream. I'm trying to find the screen. Here it is. This is what it reminded me of. Obviously, there was no dragon, there was no blood drawn, but this reminded me so much. And when Daenerys was told to not go and do what she did, very, very much so. But like I said, minus the blood and the carnage that was left in that moment there. But yeah, man, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I think we saw a defining moment for this character and a defining moment for the show. And again, I just can't get over. Daemon is a man who walks to the beat of his own drum. And this face here, when he sees his young niece coming up to him and sunning him and getting that dragon egg, power move if I've ever seen one. Elle and Johnny and everyone in chat, a power move if I've ever seen one. And someone mentioned it earlier, and I talked about it on the watch along. I wonder how I'm gonna feel when we see the older version of Rhaenyra and the older version of Alicent. If we're gonna feel like the actresses are giving us those same energy, if it's gonna be a similar characteristic, mannerisms. Are we gonna miss this younger version? I wonder, how do y'all feel about that? Starting with you, Elle. Do you feel like it will be a feeling of like, oh man, I kind of miss the young Rhaenyra, and particularly the actress. You know, do you feel like there's going to be a hard turnaround to see that time jump and missing these type of moments with the character?
I don't think so. I think if anything, we're gonna get more of what we like about each character. I think that the casting that they did, from what I've seen in the trailers and the stills, the casting is top tier. Like, they did a fantastic job for old Rhaenyra and old Alicent, you know, and obviously Damon doesn't you know, jump, you know, he doesn't grow any or whatever. It's the same, you know, Matt Smith. But I think the actresses that they got to play the older Alicent and the older Rhaenyra are gonna be great, because for me, as long as Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra gives me like a little psycho. I'm not even gonna lie, like her face is very, I don't know, she just has she's always on poker face. Like, you really can't tell what she's thinking or what she's feeling. And as long as the time jump Rhaenyra gives me that psycho poker face, I'm here for it. But I think they're gonna do great, and I'm excited to see how they're gonna play the older Rhaenyra with give me that. Just give me that. That's all I need, because she looks like she about to test some stuff up. Whatever she's doing is gonna be a problem. But I want to see how the old Rhaenyra and her uncle interact, because I don't understand why she is his weak spot, because Damon don't listen to nobody. Damon doesn't listen to the king. He doesn't listen to Otto Hightower. He doesn't listen to anybody. But here comes this little girl, and it's like, give me my egg and get out my house. And then like,
Damon went and got the eggs and the fruit punch and got all the food out the refrigerator.
Right. And so I want to know what that's about and why that is.
Good point. Elle. Johnny, man, your thoughts again, the twofold question in regards to, again, that powerful moment and what is this kind of vulnerability that Damon has towards his niece, but also how do you feel about this character or actresses coming into the role? Again, we haven't seen it yet. I thought we were going to get a glimpse of that this week, but it'll probably be next week. But do you think there'll be a sense of I think comparison will be the one thing. I think we're going to obviously compare the two to see if there is that similarity. But how do you feel about the switch in the performer or the actors?
I think it's necessary given the age of the actors and everything. But you're not going to be able to age them up like you did with over so many seasons with Arya and Sansa, and Sansa and stuff like that. But I have been watching some of the interactions of the actors, and they always have the two older ones together, and they always
pair
have
them together.
The two younger ones together, and they seem to have a good rapport and seem to and it's kind of good to see that even outside of being in front of the camera. Great point. I think it's going to be very interesting to see, because we're seeing that maybe there's going to be like a little tearing away at the relationship between Allison and Rhaenyra. How much of that has been torn away over this time, and how much more it's going to be a long time since her mom died, so she's going to have much more experience, Rhaenyra, so it'll be interesting to see how she is able to use all that experience and to better navigate herself around the realm and around the keep.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Again, I'm a little I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous because number one, I love this young actress. I'm gonna feel bad when we get more of the older version of her, and I hope they find a way to be able to go back and forth with the two. But like you said, Johnny, eventually, especially by season 2, I doubt we'll have more of these flashbacks. I'm sure we'll get hints of it, but I'm gonna miss her, man. But I'm gonna take advantage of all the times we get to spend with her, especially in a moment like this. But Skylar brings up, this is interesting. Oh snap! What if Rhaenyra is actually Damon's daughter? That was why he's listens to her. So he slept with her mom, Emma.
That's messy.
That is messy. That would be
messy.
I mean, hey, it's Game of Thrones, man. That would be something. Because it makes, like Johnny and Elle and everyone in chat saying, it does make you wonder, why is he so mean, number one, she's 20 years younger than him. This is just an elder. And number two, that's your niece and the position of power, the men dynamic back then. So what is it that she has over him other than it being maybe someone that could be his daughter? That would be crazy.
Always speak old Valerian to each other
too.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, is that? And I'm wondering, like, does everyone speak old Valerian? Or is it just like, if I'm bilingual and I'm with my people, I speak our native tongue.
Right.
And then when I'm in public, I speak English, right? Like, I'm wondering if they're wanting to have private conversations.
Right.
With Valerian.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. It's just, they always give me like, will they, won't they vibes. And I don't want it.
It's so true, Elle. That's so true. I hope we don't. But hey, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move on his niece sometime soon, especially when she does get to that older age. If he has any, I could say dignity, but again, he's sleeping with his cousin, so we'll see. But again, I think that this scene was just incredibly powerful, and like I said, I think when we look back on this show by the end of the season 2 or whatever the case may be, this is going to be a defining moment. But I think we touched on all the main points, Elle and Johnny. I guess, how do you all feel about Masera? I think is her name. Damon's side piece, his baby mama or soon to be baby mama.
His special friend.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm the only, and I love this actress. I can't think of her name right now. She was in Ex Machina. She was on Devs. I've seen her face plenty of times. She's a really good actress, but for some reason something's off with her so far. And again, I don't want to single her out because everyone's been great, but I don't know. Elle, how are you feeling about, again, I believe her name is Masera. How do you feel about her and this? And speaking of having something over someone, what is it that Damon, no offense to her, but you're high royalty. You could, speaking of having anyone, what is it about her that makes him want to marry her and have a kid?
I honestly think I think for the show, she's just a plot device. I think something, I'm not really worried about her. I know she about to be out of here. I don't know how. I don't know what's going to cause it.
Off.
Yeah, I was like, is she French? Like, I don't know what.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
What is she Portuguese? I don't know, but I just would. I'm not really concerned about her too much, to be quite honest, because she's about to be out of here.
Hell, that's the ones you don't concern yourself about. It's the one that end up being like doing something crazy.
It could be. I don't know, but the way she was talking about fear.
Yeah.
She was like, I just don't want to be afraid. I'm with you so you can, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I just think that she's gonna be the reason that something happens. I don't know. And then, for her to be expecting all of this from him, I don't understand why either. Like, I'm with you so you can, I don't know. But once again, because she's confusing me and because everything else is so well written.
Yeah.
She's about to be out of here.
Stands out. Yeah. Johnny, man, do you agree with me and Elle that there's maybe something a little bit off so far with the actor? And what do you think?
Yeah, there's something weird about her. And in the first episode, she was trying to be like his cheerleader, I think, if I recall correctly. And then now she's pregnant and they're getting married and everything. And it's like somebody in the chat said she's probably not pregnant. And I think I might agree with that.
She's not.
She's not. Yeah, I think she is.
She said that she had. I don't know did she get a tube tie? I don't know what she did, but she said that she did something to prevent herself from the torture of childbearing or something. So he just was using her to piss people off, and I wouldn't like that either. So I could see why she was mad. Like, don't put me out. He ain't gonna cut my head off.
What was Tyrion? Was Sasha or Shay? Was that her name? Shay. Yeah. But I'm sorry. What were you saying, John?
She ended up turning on him though. Another hooker that one of these guys.
Elle's point, someone would kind of throw it away. Maybe she's someone that's working for Otto. Maybe Otto brought her in to fall in love with Damon. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I think she is, because in the first episode they did have like an intimate moment where she was like encouraging him. He couldn't do his thing and she was encouraging him, and they embraced, and even after that he seems to be like physically attached to her. And usually when men of power in these kinds of shows don't care about you. They'll just like muff you in the face
exactly.
and disrespect you.
Watch your tongue when you speak to me, you whore.
Right, like they don't care. But it seems like he actually is, attached to her in some way.
He caught feelings.
How, but
he caught some feelings, y'all. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what this power she has over. Maybe going back to Skylar's theory, maybe she knows the secret of who Rhaenyra's real dad is, and maybe that's why he holds her so close and protects her. Who knows? She knows something. There's some secret. There's something she has over him besides his heart, apparently. But I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. And I'm going to give her the benefit. I hope that she grows on us and has more scenes and has a bigger part. Because, again, the actress is great. Everything I've seen her in, she's fantastic. If you guys haven't seen, Devs on FX a couple years ago by Alex Garland, very intellectual sci-fi mind-bending show that she was the lead in, and she was really, really fantastic. So I know she can act. I definitely know that. But so far she seemed a little bit off. It's a little bit for me. But wrapping it up, y'all, I think the last thing we got to talk about before we wrap it up and maybe bring some more people in to hear their thoughts is the king. Elle, he makes that ultimate decision to choose his best friend or his daughter's best friend to wed and to move forward with and have a kid with. And I think from the preview, I think you even said it, Elle, that we're going to jump ahead to when she's pregnant with the boy. I think his name was Aegon. I think that's what they said in the trailer. I'll have to go back and watch it. But Elle, your thoughts on this decision, and is this a civil war to be with Rhaenyra and Alicent, and also we can't forget about the crab feeder is out there with his mask and wreaking havoc.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I know my dad is the only man in our house. I have a sister and a mother, and I don't know why he would make a decision to put himself at odds with his daughter and his wife. Like he just put himself in the middle. It's a no for me. I just don't think that was a smart move, and I think that he was foolish to do so, and that's gonna cause a lot of strife in his home / castle and in his kingdom / realm, and that it's gonna be. It's again, everything that we saw today or tonight we're gonna see it play out. And I don't know when and I don't know how, because Game of Thrones will introduce somebody in episode 2 of season 1 and now bring them back into episode 6 of season 6, and then like you'll be like, oh, I remember that. So it very well could be this. But I don't imagine Rhaenyra being so keen of her brother nephew, right? Brother cousin. I don't know. I don't.
The family tree is all mucked up.
Crazy. Yeah, it's not no straight lines and tangents on that one. It's like curls and swirls and arrows and all of that. But I think the king is going to be stressed out until he just keels over one day, and they're gonna find him in the bed dead. Right.
Yeah, I agree. Johnny, man, last word for you, man, in regards to how that scene plays out, as well as this alliance. I forgot to mention that between Corlys and Daemon. They're together.
The alliance is going to be very important because it's those two against the world, pretty much.
You got a man with all the ships and all the sea power, and then a man with a dragon. That is a deadly duo.
And as far as Alicent goes, her having an heir, I can see the king rescinding Rhaenyra's and deciding that he wants to go back to the patriarchy because she just kind of had her as she's kind of as a seat holder to keep Daemon out. And to keep Daemon at bay, and then when he does that, everything's going to go up. And I could see him doing that, and I could see him dying soon thereafter. So then we have Alicent with the heir, and then we have Daemon, and we have Rhaenyra, and everything's going to be crazy, and. Corlys and Daemon as allies, that is so interesting, and I'm kind of wondering what's gonna happen with that, and what they're what they're gonna be up to by the time we jump in time.
Yeah, no, we'll say. And
goes to is that because in the first episode, like the first words at the small council, Corliss was trying to tell the king, like, listen, we got a problem down here. This is how we get everything to us, and they are causing a problem down here. We need to nip that in the bud. But now he is down there, and he can cause a real problem for the king and his kingdom. Because if he's down there, if he goes and does whatever with Damon and they form an alliance and he goes to solve that problem himself and then takes over the stepstones, he now has the king in his, he has the power to do something, like to affect the realm, like to affect comes in and solve everybody.
He controls the shipping lanes.
Right. And so he's going to bring the Navy, the water piece of it. Damon's gonna bring the brute force, and they're gonna have a really good alliance that's gonna, I think, serve them both until it doesn't, because they're both very, I don't know if they're power hungry, and they want to be in positions of power, and you can't have two men who want the throne or the crown or to be number one together, because somebody has to be number two, and they're not willing to be, either one of them is not willing to be number two. So that's going to be good. I'm excited to see them. They're going to be great when they're together, and they're going to be great when they start beefing, because
at each other's throat. Because it's coming. It's coming. And someone in the chat, just to kind of, I was trying to pull up I'm not going to play the trailer for copyright reasons, but just to show you all the thumbnail, someone mentioned that they didn't think the king would live long enough to give birth. But in the trailer, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the trailer. It shows you here, Otto is his king. So, and I think he named him, I think it was Aegon, if I'm not mistaken. So enough time has passed, obviously 9 months to, have. So we're probably looking at at least a minimum of 9 months between the end of this episode to next week's episode. And that's more than 9 months. That baby that baby like almost 1 year old. So we might get a year and a half.
Almost as old as that child that the king was walking with.
Almost.
Just about, Elle. Just about.
Not quite there, but almost.
Not quite there, but almost. So, I mean, guys, we're going to be jumping almost a year and a half, which, again, I'm very intrigued to know how that's going to play out. We're going to be jumping. I know this is completely side note, but Andor, for example, from Star Wars fans, they're going to be, the first season is going to be jumping like almost 2-3 years ahead of time. That's going to be a very interesting storytelling method to jump so far. There's so much development off screen. I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. But yeah, he has a kid. Maxine, your boy. Well, my apologies, Maxine. This was part of the trailer. That's all I'll play. But yeah, we're gonna see him with a son next week, so we will be jumping ahead. But listen, guys, Johnny, Elle, this has been a fantastic breakdown. Again, I'm gonna probably it's 11 my time. I know it's probably late where you guys are, and you're both more than welcome to stay on. But I'll open the lines to anyone else that wants to share their 2 cents on it. Johnny, I don't know if you have to head out, or Elle, you gotta get ready for work tomorrow. You guys want to truck along for another 20-30 minutes or so? Or do you guys gotta head out?
I can hang.
I'm up.
All right, let's do it. Hey, as you guys just heard, the lines are open, y'all. If you want to come in and share your 2 cents, I know Skylar hit me up earlier. Skylar, if you're still here, definitely hit let me put the link back in here. Let me make sure it's there for you guys. It should be pinned, if I'm not mistaken. The pin link in the description or in the comment section is the link to the stream. Let me make sure it's there. So if you guys want to jump in and ask a question to myself or Johnny or Elle, or just throw your 2 cents into
I'm sorry.
No, shoot for it.
I don't have my glasses on and I can't see, but I see the name Kevin Washington. Kevin Washington. Are you the Kevin Washington from New Orleans that stole my Trapper Keeper in the 2nd grade? Because every time I see a Kevin Washington, I ask them, are you that person? Because I was very upset about it. Kevin Washington, if you are here, are you the one? If not, if you are, you can slide me $12 for my Trapper Keeper.
I heard it here.
You can repent.
I don't know, Kevin. Because Trapper Keeper, that was my life back in the day. Nah,
it's not too late to repent, Kevin.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm just gonna be disappointed if that is you.
That is hilarious. I don't think so. My man Kevin, I don't know. That's my boy. That's my boy. I don't
Okay.
know if that's the same Kevin there.
All
But
right.
you never
Okay.
know.
I'm
You
sorry,
never
Kevin
know.
Washington. That's not from New Orleans. I apologize.
That is hilarious. Well, before we get maybe someone, and by no means, no pressure. No one wants to come in. No worries. We'll wrap it up here soon. But Johnny, your thoughts on just 2 episodes in, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good. Everything is unraveling, raveling and unraveling. Let's put it that way. Everything is set for our time jump, and it'll be interesting to see where these characters are the next time we see them.
Yeah. Elle, same question for you. We're 2 episodes in. Is it official that Game of Thrones is back?
Yeah, I heard it got renewed for season 2, like right after episode.
20 million people watch. Yeah.
Like we got a new
Mhm.
season greenlit, and so I think it's a big deal, and I think it has the potential to like be pandemonium like it was for the original GOT.
Yeah.
But I think the characters have a lot of space to play, and I know George R.
Mhm.
is running this show, and so I know they gonna go from what he has. But even if they wanted to go on a tangent, the characters are so well set up, and the lines are so like the threads between the characters are so like juicy that they have so much room to play with, and they have so many ways that they could take characters if they wanted to. And I'm
Right.
really excited to see that. The one that I'm looking forward to the most is I want to see Ray niece. I want to see that auntie or that cousin. I'm really interested in her. I think she's gone because she's always lurking. And we
Mhm.
don't really see her. Like, this is the first time we really heard her speak, and when we hear her, she's always like, well, I heard, that's how she was at the jousting thing. She was like,
Yes.
these knights don't know any battle. They don't know. And then we see her this time and she's like, really mean and bitter to her cousin niece or whatever. I don't know who these people are, but I'm interested to see her because I think she's going to be really, I don't know. She could go either way, but I'm interested to see if she's gonna be like a mean Disney witch, like a old evil, you know what I mean?
Magnificent.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. But we got 2 people in the waiting room I'm going to bring in here. One person that I have had the pleasure of seeing just leaves a lot of great comments on the channel, has a great channel of her own that she's going to probably tell you all about here. And then we got a returning person that joined us last week. So I'm going to bring in our 2 special guests. And if you guys have any questions for us, definitely throw it our way. But we also just want to hear your thoughts on the episode. So I'm going to bring them in now. We got Mac. And then we got my man Skylar making his return. What's going on?
Oh,
hi.
Oh, so excited. Yay.
Welcome. Mac, it's so good to see you. I know you we talked offline.
I've been trying to get on here forever. So glad to be here. So and it's Skylar. And I've been trying to find out how to reach out to Skylar. So I'm happy to finally see him too.
Hey, we linking up all the great content. So starting with you, Mac, let us know how you feel about the second episode. What stood out to you? What didn't work? And how you feeling about the show?
It's so
and also,
good.
Mac, I apologize. Why don't you introduce who you are when people can find you, by the way, as well? My apologies.
Mac Cox. You guys can find me at A Couture Crafting. I am sitting here at my station right now. I do quilts and crafts based off of fandoms. So you might see a Game of Thrones quilt. You might see a Disney quilt, just all kinds of things. So if you're crafty, come on over. I absolutely loved this episode. It was girl power. Oh, it felt right. The conversation between the queen that never was and Rhaenyra. I mean, I was looking for when she was watching her make decisions. I was like, look at her over there, just looking. She was just looking. And I wanted to know what her thoughts and feelings were so badly last time about her being named. And so much of this stuff could have just been nipped in the butt with communication. I think the king is going to surprise us in some kind of way. I'm not exactly sure how, but I know he's so weak. He's so this. I don't know about that, you guys, because every one of his council members told him marry for power. He didn't. He never does what, he's told. It seems like they try to manipulate him and we're kind of wondering if he knows he's being manipulated. I think he does. I think he does know. I think there's a reason why he's king. I don't think he's king for nothing. So I'm just excited to see where this goes because so many things have happened, and I am just tickled pink.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I saw you in the chat. You're like, listen, man, the king he ain't weak.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
I think we'll know next week. I think we'll know what kind of, because he sat right there and told his daughter, I'm not going to not let you be heir. He says, it's just that if you die, our line is gone. So I do need to create some more heirs. So I'm going to see what kind of king he really is in next episode, I think.
Especially when he has his, is he going to switch up? We see he has
I got faith.
Yeah, we'll see if that faith can be brought to us next week. But same question for you, Skylar. Your thoughts on the second episode, and what power moves did you really appreciate in this episode?
I thought, first of all, can you guys hear me okay? This is a different mic. Okay, cool. Thank you. I liked the episode. I was really pleased with them showing, like, focusing on like the political machinations of what they got to do, and the queen that never was. I feel like I was most impressed with her, even though, well, let me take it back. I was most impressed with Rhaenyra, but after that, I was impressed with the queen that never was, mainly because I, as a Black person who has spent my entire adult career in corporate America, I completely understand the sentiment of not necessarily just playing the game, which I hate, but understanding that this is not my game board. So I got to know how to move these pieces around accordingly to get whatever it is that I want, right? So when she was given her, not niece, cousin. What is she? Cousin, second cousin. I don't, you know, the little one, the little heir, the next heir. When she's giving her that advice, thank you. When she's giving her that advice, it's from a place of, I think, manipulation. Yes, of course. Yeah. But I think also of like, look, you sitting here playing this game as if there's not all these rules and things, confines built around you.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to move the way you want to move. And so I appreciated her giving that advice, because that's advice that I have been given multiple times. Because it's like, you realize that this is however it is that you, doesn't matter how fair it is, doesn't matter if you're the best person for the job, doesn't matter that you have the best ideas or the right idea or whatever it is. If you do not look like X, or you do not come from X background, you have to move differently so that you don't get popped on the head, in their case killed, you know, whatever the situation is. So like, I really appreciated that scene with her, and it's vile. Like, it actually made me like a little physically like nauseous watching her essentially pimp her own daughter. Like, I was like, at least I can understand. I think she would have done it even if she was queen, not because she wanted to, but she knows I may not operate like this, but the rest of the world operates like this.
Exactly.
And so I felt for her, but I appreciated her more in this instance. I'm sorry, I think I have an echo. I don't know why. I felt for her, but I appreciate.
Yeah, I can hear that too. Yeah.
Is that me? Oh, it's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, I love the episode. Again, loved when Rhaenyra showed up on that dragon.
Yeah.
It was like, look, I'm the reason you ain't got the job, homie. So what you gonna do? You gonna stab me? Like, she looked him dead in his face and was like, what you gonna do? And he backed down because he knew that he couldn't match that. And so it's just another reminder too, like, now that I'm thinking about it, it makes me a little sad even, that Game of Thrones takes place like, what, 300 years later, whatever. And it's like, the kingdom has still doesn't learn the lesson that the women in your kingdom have so much more to offer than just birthing people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's once again, the baddest women in the group are the women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra knew that, because that's why she was looking at her mama crazy when her mama was like, our battlefield is the birthing bed. And Rhaenyra was like, are you sure? I don't think that's what my place is. I think she knows her value too. And it's been evident since episode. Okay, dog. It's been evident since episode 1. She's sick of me at this point. It's been evident since episode 1 that Rhaenyra knows that she's more than just a wife and a daughter, even though that's not been presented to her at all. Like, we've not heard any talks of Rhaenyra getting, sent out to be with anybody or what have you. But I think if that were to be brought up, she would tell you, absolutely not. That's not what I want. I don't want to do that. So
Which I wonder if that is a power move her dad's going to make next week when we see, his son in the mix. Which, before we move on, shout out to Simone with the super chat, $2.99 super chat. Appreciate the love and support again. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And by the time this video is officially uploaded, I'm going to have all these wonderful people's information in the description of this video. Mac, I got a question for you. What did you think about that moment with Rhaenyra? Were you floored? Were you just taken away by the power move by Rhaenyra?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay, ask me that question one more time. What did I think about Rhaenyra?
Yeah, her power move, that defining moment, which I considered a defining moment of the show, her coming to the rescue of Otto and retrieving that egg.
I knew who was coming, but I wanted to see her walk down the dragon's, because they cut away, and I was like, how's she gonna get off because she's on this bridge? I wanted to see her walk down the dragon's spine, down his head. But it was so cold because she walked right up to his face. I said, oh, she just gonna walk up on her in his face like that. Loved it. I love the conversation. She called his whole bluff because he's running around lying, saying people are pregnant. She like, really? She pregnant? No, no. And if I'm right here, if you want it, come get it. I'm right here. And she and Damon run so warm. Whenever there's something very warm there. I don't get the father-daughter kind of dynamic from them. I get something way warmer than that. And so I like Damon. I like him so much. He takes 30 seconds to say anything ever. He just stands there looking for a minute before he speaks. I love that dude. Guys, he's got something coming for us. I don't know exactly how he's going to do it, but he's something. There's something there.
Yeah.
But I love it. She walked up. She said what she had to say. And when she came back to tell her daddy, I knew he was going to giggle about it. I knew he was. But I believe that he wanted that to end the way that it did. He didn't want there to be bloodshed. He loves his brother. He loves his brother so much. I thought he was going to have to cut out his tongue, but you can tell that he's trying to make sure that his brother is okay. And so she was able to do it. She was able to take care of what could not be done because they were getting ready to have to get down.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say bye-bye.
Yeah, they were getting ready to have to, something was going to go wrong for somebody.
Right.
I wondered how it was going to end, but luckily she popped up. I knew she was coming. She just like a boss. She handled it. She knew what she needed to do. She went to go do it. She's special, and they need to recognize that and quit having her, fill cups. Like, let her sit down. She's gonna be the new heir. Let her train her up right.
Exactly.
Right.
I agree. Well said.
If this show ain't the biggest calling card for diversity and inclusion,
okay,
just if anybody has any issue, you just play them this episode and be like, this is why we have D&I. This is why this matters. This is why inclusion matters, because you see this. She just showed up on the dragon and it was handled, no bloodshed.
No blood. Yep.
What's his face and his little Boy Scouts got to go home, live another day.
Yep.
Damon and his fake wife, whatever, get to live another day, and you get the egg back. Perfect.
Nope. Nobody got thrown off the bridge.
No bloodshed. No lives were taken in this this call. Which again, we'll see if that's any foreshadowing of her, that decision she made to be so bold. If he'll be anything to call back on later on in the season. But Skylar, man, and getting your thoughts, because again, myself and Elle and Johnny shared our thoughts on this. But how do you all feel about, starting with you, Skylar, Allison and her relationship with Rhaenyra? And is it genuine? Is it kind of 50-50? She has to listen to her dad, but she also has to be a best friend. How do you feel about her and her journey so far?
I think it's a little of column A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. It's all of it, because I think first and foremost, she wants to be a friend to Rhaenyra, right? Like, that's her girl, that's her ace. She also has to listen to her father. And then on top of that, like, let's call a spade. Like, I think someone, I can't remember who, but someone in the chat said that, like, she reminds them of Sansa in the beginning of Game of Thrones, where she's like, wanting to be,
marry Joffrey and do all by the book.
Yeah, this whole romanticized. Yeah.
He was so excited to be Joffrey's main squeeze.
Yeah, you see how that worked out. So it's like there's this level of ignorance that she has on her, just youthful ignorance, right? She doesn't know any better. She's been protected, even though she's not royalty. She's close enough to the throne where she's never had to suffer.
Yeah.
And so I think she's trying to take it. She's trying to please everyone, and not, because she's so young and inexperienced, not thinking about the consequences of her actions, not thinking about, hey, I'm being used, or hey, this is my best friend's dad. Maybe this isn't the right thing to do. So I think her storyline is going to be probably one of the more sadder ones, because I just see her learning those lessons the hard way. And I just don't want that for her, because in this world, the hard way really is just terrible. Yeah. But I do see in the future, I'm just sort of like, what I think is going to happen is she's going to try to play that I'm your stepmom type of thing when she get older and she's more comfortable in the role, and it's just not going to fly. Like, it's just not. They're going to do to her like Lindsay Lohan did to the stepmom in the Parent Trap remake. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, it's just not going to work out.
You can always count on Skylar with the great references. Last week it was Ninja Turtles. Now it's Mac. Same question for you in regards to Alicent. Man, do you have a sense of you feel bad for her because she's kind of torn between a rock and literally a hard place between her best friend and obviously the orders from her father?
So with Alicent last week, I got a true innocence from her, like a true innocence. Even when she just like barely kind of understanding what it is. All Otto had to do. Now, mind you guys, I am able to completely suspend reality. Age and that kind of stuff doesn't bother me here in this world, because folks are only living to like 20. So, that kind of stuff doesn't. All her daddy needed to do was tell her what he was doing. That's where my issue came in. Don't send her in there because she done brought a book. That's not what she should have brought into the room. She doesn't know. I think that there is an innocence about her. The nail thing, I think that is showing anxiety. I think that is where she is showing us kind of herself. So I'm taking her as what I'm seeing now. This episode, she feels so much more mature than she did that last episode.
Yes, 6 months later,
like tell her, like, look, this is kind of what's going on. If everybody had just communicated and said, look, this is what she could have told her. But more than anything, I blame the dad for this. The dad was sitting right there and said, look, he had a full-fledged adult conversation with Rhaenyra about, I have to remarry. I've got to, it's coming. And she says, I get it. That was his moment to say,
right.
With your best friend.
With your best friend.
I don't think that I don't know what Rhaenyra's emotions are. She walked out, so she's feeling something, obviously, but I don't know what it is, because she knew something was coming. Yeah. He had the opportunity to tell her. I don't think that Alicent is out for blood. I don't believe it. I think she's still somewhat naive. I think she's more mature in this episode than she was in the last. I don't hate the king's decision. I think it's interesting. I don't know that she really cares if all her duty is to have these babies and be the queen. I think she'll be good at that. I don't know that she's trying to make her child at this point the king or queen right now, king or queen or whatever she had the little boy. I don't think she's going for that right now. I think she's just existing. She's a little light in the butt for me for a character. I kind of don't care about her. I'm kind of like, like, oh, there she go.
But why then, if she didn't know what was going on, which I do believe that she's like a little bird in a tree, like she could just fly away and just be all right. Yeah. But her daddy was like, put your mama dress on when you go over there. And when we see her, she got a little spiral curl on the side and a necklace and like her little
soup to do.
This episode she did. This episode I was like, okay, she's making a companionship. I think she knows now. I don't think she knew that first episode. I don't know if she knew.
So you think it was like a dress up for the king kind of thing?
I think her daddy should have been a little more clear.
The king was in his night shirt. And she had on a full petticoat with a spiral curl and a necklace.
She came to bed with the book. I don't think I think she was trying to provide companionship. I don't think she really knows the true get down of what it is that she's supposed to. I don't think she knows.
Her dad was.
I think she knows now. I think she knows now. But her dad, what he was doing, her dad should have been a little more clear about what her role was going to be and what the game is. This is family. Tell family, look, we going for the throne, and this is how we gonna do it.
Because Tyrion Lannister would have said something.
Oh yeah, 100%. It would have been straightforward. Cersei, you need to go in there and sleep with him.
You know who else told it? Oh, look, what did old girl tell her daughter? She told her little 2-year-old daughter, "Hey, you don't have to go to bed with him until this is what this means." See, she was gangster. I was like, oh, the queen that never was. She prepped her daughter like, this is what you don't have to do. You can wait until here to have to do it, but this is the
all
plan.
out.
You don't send your baby in the room.
But then also, part of me feels like that's just something you tell your children, like the Tooth Fairy, and it's like a make believe. Because once you send your child on a ship across the never-ending sea, they could do whatever they want to do.
I feel like they still have rules to this. I feel like that's the rule. I was like, oh, we got rules to this. Okay, 14, that's the age. But I think that she would have told her. I just don't like that the king didn't tell her what we're doing. Like, tell me what my game plan is so that I can go in here and execute and not be looking stupid.
But that's because people don't view during this time and in 2022, people don't view women as having the need to know anything anyway. Do what I need you to do to meet my ends, and you're gonna be my plot device. I'm gonna give you just what you need to know so you don't mess this up. And that's all you need to know. Whatever happens to you, that's on you, Chief. Like, that has nothing to do with me.
That's a good point.
That explains, that would explain why the queen that never was told her daughter everything, because she values how smart women are. Right. But you're right. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Love it.
I'm so intrigued. There's two characters I'm really intrigued to meet. One is Damon's wife, who's apparently as ugly as can be. Looks like a dragon apparently. And then also I'm very intrigued to learn more about Allison's mom and Otto's wife that passed away. What was their dynamic? What was she, forced to marry Otto? What information did she give her daughter about this?
I think Otto killed her. I don't know why. I think he killed her. I don't, the first time, because they keep talking about his wife being passed away. And if we're not going to get something from that, then they're not going to keep bringing it up. They done went to church about the lady.
They brought it up several times.
They were talking about her at the king's, the council table. So something, it can't just be that she just got ill and passed away.
Take it even deeper, Elle. What if sweet Alicent has something to do with her mother's demise?
That's why she picked
reasons why we don't know, but
something happened with her. That's a great thing, but I'm interested. They're gonna tell us about it in season 7.
Yeah.
My question: if they keep doing all these time jumps, how far in the future are we gonna go? If every episode is 8 years later.
So start to right off your point, Skylar, we talked about it briefly in regards to it's going to be jarring to see the older version of Rhaenyra and Alicent in a time jump. And we going from episode 2, it seems like we're going to be a year in advance. So, I mean, to answer your own question, Skylar, how do you feel about the potentiality of that? Do you think it's going to be jarring as far as seeing different actresses being aged up, different time zone or timelines? How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's going to be weird if we're doing it in the same season.
In the same season, yeah.
Because isn't they only getting like 10 episodes anyway?
Yeah, 10 episodes.
So it's like, I'm like, I don't know. It'll definitely be weird if we're doing it that fast. I didn't realize we were doing it that fast in like one season.
What about you, Mac? How you feel about this situation of different actors playing the same role and jumping ahead in time? Is it going to be, again, we haven't seen it yet, but do you feel like it will be slightly jarring?
The only character I care about with that happening is Rhaenyra.
Same here.
Dynamic.
I think this young lady is fantastic.
She makes me feel the things, the way that her face, that's going to bother me, I believe. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take that so well because I'm not 100% sure whoever's coming behind her can do what she's giving me. I mean, she's giving me everything I need. That's my only concern. Everything else, I could care less. I don't care about anything else, honestly.
I share the same sentiment. I think I'm an Olivia Cook fan who's going to be playing the older version of Alicent. I think she's a fantastic actress. The young lady that's playing the older version of Rhaenyra, I think her name is Emma something. I've only seen her in one project. It was a small project on Amazon with Simon Pegg and his close friend that does all those films with. It was like a ghost comedy show, and she was good in it. But yeah, to your point, Mac, I'm very nervous about the interpretation, the characteristic, the mannerisms, the growth, development of older version of Rhaenyra, and if we're going to feel that same sense of leadership and just acting as well. So it makes me a bit nervous.
Yep.
Makes me really nervous.
But they've never steered me wrong. I can't think of somebody who they have had on the show, and I'm like, ugh.
We mean on this show or Game of Thrones?
I guess Game of Thrones. I can't think of anything that made me go, ugh.
Complete miscasting.
Oh, you mean? I'm sorry. You mean in terms of cast? I just thought. Never mind. I'm sorry. Take it back. What I
think we mentioned earlier, Masanda, I think is Damien's baby mama to be and future wife. Her accent so far,
you're right. Yeah,
she's standing out to me. I don't know what it is that we talked about the accent and all that, but
like she's from like the east side of
it's like
area or something.
Magical. I don't know why. She's got like
what accent is that?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening there, and I'm not a fan, but I like her existence, but I don't like that casting. You're right. I don't like the casting. But
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope she gives us something special, which just a conversation myself and Johnny and Skylar had last week. And I want to ask you, Skylar and Mac, do you all want supernatural in this show? Like we got with Game of Thrones, starting with you, Elle, do you want to see any versions of the White Walkers? Do you want to see magic and witches and supernatural elements? Do you think we're going to get that in this particular iteration of the story?
I wouldn't be mad at it because when I think of Game of Thrones, I'm thinking of literally all the things. Like I'm not thinking of like minimalism and like real nuance. I'm thinking of like you're gonna punch me in my jaw with like, you know, like supernatural magic. We're gonna have giants, we're gonna have like aliens and some kind of wild turn of events or something like that. So I would love to see that. And I think we're going to kind of get something like that. And we're going to start seeing something like that with the crab feeder. Because I don't understand how he was still alive or how he was functioning or whatever with what I just saw of him. So he looks like he maybe had like a root put on him or something. So that would be good to me.
Some magical spell. What about you, Mac? Do you feel like this show needs that level of supernaturalness just to kind of fit within the tone that we're used to? Or are you okay with it? To Elle's point, being a little bit maybe more grounded in reality, even though there's dragons flying around.
Thinking about the dragon, I was like, they got dragons already.
Right, that's as fantasy you can get is dragons. Yeah.
When I think of Game of Thrones, I'm thinking fanciful. You know, give it to me. Go on ahead. And the woman that we were just speaking about, she gives me witch vibes, and I was like, is she a witch? Has she been here before? Is she an iteration of another person that we've seen? You
What's
know,
the witch? Melisandre, what was her name?
Yes.
Yeah. He's around during this time, by the way.
Yeah, she's around. And I was like, is this her as a young person? But for whatever reason,
that's a hot take.
Red Witch.
You know, I'm like,
witch,
I'm like, is she? She gives me witch vibes. And I was like, why is she still here? You know,
you
like
might be onto something.
That's a hot
take. Could be her.
No, I don't something about her.
You need to go tweet that so that people can know you said it first.
That
could be my first tweet.
And watch it go viral.
Right.
Wouldn't that be something? But yeah, she gives me those kind of. But yeah, I'm down for it. You can bring me all the. Yep, give me some giants and some White Walkers. Or you know, they don't do wrong. You know, so go ahead. If that's safe, I'm good with that.
I want to know, is that a horn though?
That's what I was going to say. I think I think this crab. I think there's something that has been wished upon him or cursed on him. There's something supernatural, and I think they said I'm gonna rewatch this episode tonight probably, but they did mention something about the king talked about magic and where power stemmed from. So I think we're gonna get some supernatural, kind of very similar to season 1, where the White Walkers were just kind of in the background of episode 1 and brought it up every now and then when we went to the wall. But I think there's some supernatural we don't see yet. Yeah. Well, again, if Maxine's still here, based on that trailer, it looks like there will be dragons that will come across this individual here from this whole alliance between Daemon and Corlys. So I think he looks burnt because he met a dragon next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we also did see the trees with the faces in the last episode.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. The men of many faces. I mean, there's so much going on in this world that I'm excited to explore.
Do they ever? I haven't read the books, so if anybody's read the books, I'm sorry, but do they? Sorry for my question, but do they ever say who the gods are? They always talk about the gods. Who are they? Do they ever explain them individually?
I think that show that was unfortunately canceled with Naomi Watts was going to explore those elements of Game of Thrones. But unfortunately, like I said, did get canceled. And who knows if they'll bring it back. But yeah, I don't think that's a good question, Scott. I don't know if that's something they're going to ever really address, or if it's something that they feel like they need to address. But I don't know. Anyone else on the panel have any thoughts on that?
Was that like a First Men show or something?
I think so. It was, because I know it was supposed to be about the first man and the that whole setup of the Night King. That was like the origins of that show and exploring all that stuff. But
I don't know the answer to the question though.
Yeah,
I haven't read the books, and whenever anybody says anything about the books, I say I'll just get myself a little tote bag and put on some chamomile tea, and we can talk about the books.
Yep. Same here.
Because I think about like old
God, new gods.
Yeah, well, that and in all ancient cultures, they always be like, "This is my chosen god," or "This is the god that protects my kingdom," or So with magic being such a big thing in this world period, I just realized that tonight. I'm like, they always talk about the gods, but nobody's ever talking about this is our god or this is who we, whatever. So
hey. Maybe we'll get some of that this season.
Have space to do that, you know what I mean? Like I feel like maybe that's just like a huge story, and like you would have to do a lot to explain it. And maybe they just are like, we can't even do that.
We
got
the time.
Yeah.
We got 10 episodes, people.
Right.
Man. And again,
and the way HBO Max is canceling stuff, we might only have 5.
No, I think David Zaslav and they know they got a hit on their hands.
They're
canceling everything, but they could give the money to Game of Thrones. That's where all that money. That's where Batgirl money's going.
Okay.
For this show.
Poor Batgirl.
I feel bad for her. Poor Batgirl. Poor Sesame Street. They took Sesame Street episode.
Everything.
Looney Tunes, everything.
Yeah, burn it all. But they ain't burning this show, ladies and gentlemen. And this discussion has been fantastic. Again, this is week 2 of 10. Hopefully we can do more of these with these amazing people you all see on the screen for many more streams to come. But again, Elle, Johnny, Skylar, Mac, such a pleasure to finally meet you. Elle, it's so great to have this conversation with you. And of course, Johnny and Skylar, you guys are pretty much moving in at this point. You got a room in the back there, so you guys are always welcome. But starting with you, Elle, again, you're so awesome. I'm so glad to finally get you on the stream and have this discussion. And we'll go around the table. But starting with you, Elle, why don't you let the people know again where they can find your channel and what you're all about?
Watch with me, Elle Bee. I give you fun, fresh, and funny rants, reviews, and recaps on my favorite movies and TV shows. And I try my best to keep it together, because sometimes I get very invested and involved in the shows that I watch, and it's evident in my videos. But I have a lot of fun making content. It is my hobby. Nobody watches what I watch, and it was making me upset. And so I went to the interwebs to start making content about things that I like to watch. So you can follow me at Watch With Me LB on IG and TikTok. They're new. So if you go over there looking, it's like 2 things on there. I just got them like this week, actually. And then, of course, on YouTube, Watch With Me LB. Thank you so much for having me. This was very fun because, again, the only person I know that watches this show is like my dad. And then he watches it like 2 days after it comes out, which frustrates my spirit. I can't talk to him about it until like 2 or 3 days after. So this is a great outlet for me. And I'm very appreciative of being here tonight with y'all.
Well, I appreciate you. And again, that door is always open for the join for any discussion moving forward, especially with the show. And again, I know, Elle, we talked about it briefly on your stream in the chat. Atlanta's coming right around the corner. So we will be talking about Atlanta season 4 in a couple of weeks. But Johnny, my man, Johnny, the technical issues did not come about, which is great. Which is fantastic, man. I'm so glad to see you back on.
I was telling you in the chat that I was working on things, but I did some testing, and I'm glad it all worked out. Nice to meet you, Elle and Mac. Nice to see you again, Skylar. Great to be here. I'm a filmmaker, screenwriter in San Diego. Pretty much the only thing on my YouTube now is some trailers and some of my short films, but I'm starting a podcast called Quantum Entangled. I'm going to do my do reviews of comics and movies and TV stuff, and talk about different subjects with some friends. So that's not up yet, but all my information is on my link tree. pretty much was able to get my name on most of the social media sites. So hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and great to be here.
Yes, of course, man. And again, guys, by the time this video is uploaded completely, I'm going to have all their information in the description. Mac, again, I think it was a couple months. I can't remember. You had to remind me what video it was that you came across and we start interacting. But ever since then, I always loved reading your comments. And I'm so glad to finally get the chance to kind of virtually meet you. And hopefully we can do this again. But hopefully, again, these people just see a taste of all the awesomeness you have to offer to this platform. So again, why don't you let the people know where they can find your content?
Thank you for so much for having me. I'm so excited. I know it was a minute of us going back and forth, and I was dying to get here last week, and I just couldn't make it. So I'm so glad that I got a chance to be here today. I am that crafty girl, MA Couture Crafting on all of the platforms, or you can put in Matt Cox. I do Disney-inspired or fandom-inspired crafts. Come on over, come hang out with me. I will be at D23. Follow my Instagram if you want to go on that journey with me. I was at Comic-Con, all the blurred things, all the blurred things. And Skylar, I was at Comic-Con with Black Nerd Problems. How about that?
Yeah.
What? You were?
Yep. That's what I was trying to get to you. So yeah, how about that?
There it is.
Oh, cool. Who did you meet? Who were you with?
I was with Omar.
Oh, okay.
Tiffany and Tasha and everybody.
Wait, okay, yeah, I love it.
I'm in LA. Are you in LA? I'm in LA too.
Yeah. Where? I wouldn't talk out.
Proper.
I love it.
All right. Okay.
This is why we do it. We like, wait a minute. You live around the street around over that McDonald's.
I'm outside. Meet me at Wave.
This is awesome. This is awesome, man. But
I was at Comic-Con too.
Look at that. I wasn't at Comic-Con, but these two.
San Diego, he is Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
You got it right there.
One day we're gonna all link up and see each other at Comic-Con. Skylar, man, outroing us out, my brother. Where can people find you and all the great content you got lined up for the folks?
You can find me on all my socials at Skylar_writer. That is Skylar with an A. That's you. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. YouTube, but nothing's up there yet. Some stuff will be soon. Otherwise, you can find some of my bylines over at blacknerdproblems.com, where we do entertainment and news from the Black perspective. And other than that, yeah, I'm a writer, filmmaker, trying to make it out here in LA. So hopefully, one day you guys will be talking about something that I've made. So,
yes, sir.
Fingers crossed.
Resistance, my friend. It will happen, man. Yes. And again, shout out to everyone. We did the watch along early. We're almost going on 2.5 hours. Everyone seemed to have a blast tonight. And I appreciate everyone in the chat, super chats, thumbs up, sharing the videos, showing the panel some love, supporting their content, subscribing and following them. It means a lot to me that you guys are supporting them. A great panel. Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you all had a great time because I had a blast. So on behalf of myself, Elle, Johnny, Skylar, and Mac, y'all, it has been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And I can't wait to see you guys next week to talk about episode 3. Before then, we got She-Hulk. We got Lord of the Rings coming this week, and a couple more other things to look forward to. So it's a great time to be a geek, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of content that's been given to us on a weekly basis. So again, thank you all for watching today's stream, and we will catch you on the next one.